All right, so let's talk through the 2021 Sizzix Christmas release. There we are, and we're going to start with Funky Nordic. I'm just going to start this show all over again and just kind of take you through everything. So here we go. This first one, of course, when we talk about this is all about just having elements. And so again, back to Funky Nordic. This is a great design that has specific little elements. And I think the nice thing about having these elements, again, you can use them for cards, you can use them for tags. They are sized individually. Of course, they are scaled where you can put these pieces together. So, for example, if you wanted to put the house in front of the mountain, you could have that. You could have stars behind there, a shooting star. You could simply just do winter elements, this great scallop. But they all have that touch of funky, right? Touch of whimsy. Now, again, as I was talking about, when it comes to colored cardstock, if you have a lot of scrap colored cardstock, this is the best time to use it up, because you can simply run it through a Xyron, you could have adhesive sheets, you can put this on, and then you could easily layer the pieces. If you don't want to go through the time of cutting out pieces again and again and again, simply cut these elements out in white cardstock, whether that's watercolor cardstock, mixed media cardstock, any of that, and then you can simply go in and ink or use your markers to color the different layers. That's the quickest way. The easiest way to do it, of course, is just to start with white cardstock and then color the pieces as you build them. That's one pass for the die, and you're ready to go, all right? So that one is Funky Nordic, and I'm just gonna start with kind of the wintry pieces first. We'll go there, and then I'll take you into more of the holiday things. I do love a good pine tree, I'm not gonna lie, I love this. And this is called Tall Pines. Now the cool thing about this one, and you're gonna see from the makes, is that the beauty of having this, of course, is we're going to have the ability to create an instant scene, because this die, I'll show you when you run it through, is going to cut out all that detail, all those elements in one pass, right? We're just going to run it through. Oh boy, now I just see it's like going again. Everyone's like bad, buzz, bad, bad, bad. Okay, okay, well, yeah.
I'm not saying
that's all I'm seeing.
Or maybe you're just getting caught up.
Let's see. Oh boy. Maybe?
No,
is everything good? Okay. Sorry, I'm looking at the iPad, which happens to be, the iPad's 5 minutes behind. All right, so it's saying it's buzz. Okay, perfect.
Let me just refresh.
All right, perfect. I'm just going to keep going. Sorry about that, guys.
I can hear
So the cool thing about the pines is I wanted to create a die that's going to have a scenic look to it, right? Meaning, if you wanted to build, say, a landscape, maybe you're going to do something with alcohol ink or distress ink, or you wanted to create some elements. I've done trees in the past. I've done one that's going to be just a bottom edge. I've also done individual trees that have been thinlits and or steel wool dies. But this particular one, of course, is just going to have that all over design. It's going to be one die, so it's going to cut the scene. But what you can do, of course, it's designed that we can also cut these pieces apart, right? Meaning I can just cut right here, and now I'll have a single tree. And you'll see some of the makes with that. That's why I'm explaining this to you ahead of time. You can go in, and because it's this like illustration design with all this open space, you can go in with your scissor and trim this out anywhere, and it's going to have that organic fade. That's the nice thing about creating with this die, is that we're going to have just kind of a scenic die. And with that, I wanted to also add a new mountain. Now, I've done Alpine, which was kind of similar to this design. The Alpine Mountain was a few years ago, and it had a really cool design, very, I don't know, I would say kind of streamlined, but I wanted something also that's going to be, I don't know, a little bit more layered, have a cool effect. And the nice thing about this particular one is that we're going to have all of these pieces, all of these layers, all of these elements that we can build to create this mountain range. Now, this could be snow on the mountains, you can create a shadow on the mountains, you can really create whatever element you want with this, but these are designed to work in scale. And again, you're going to see in the makes that if you wanted to put these trees over these mountains, it would give you that perspective. Not that you have to use them together, but they are certainly designed to work together. But there's also some great elements to this as well, because we can create snowy mountains, we can create just some nice wintry mountains. I just like it. Did I make a Yeti for the mountain? I did not, but I do like that. They do kind of look like Alaska. I like that. I really like the harsh lines in there, and I like that just with, it's 3 layers of paper, it just gives you all of that depth and shadow. It's very easy to assemble. This one's really easy to assemble. All right? Next we're going to go, this one is called Mountaintop. All right. Next we're going to go in, oh, I just read that. If you do shades of orange, it would be like Arizona. Totally, yeah, you could do a sunset on the mountains. I just, see sometimes where it comes into a season, like would I normally think to do a mountain range in an everyday dye? Not really, but you're absolutely right. Creating a dye like this, especially for the season, is a chance to kind of look at a lot of your scenic dyes and think how can you apply those to different landscapes. So I definitely like that. It's really good. All right. So this next one, I always like layered words. Now, I have different font styles. It really just depends on what I want to do. And of course, we have so many different alphabets in alphanumeric that if you are a clean line font person, there are many options. But when I saw this art, I really liked it because it was very eclectic. Like it's where this person was just doing all types of lettering where, you know, it had a little touch of script and then there was block. And the other thing I really liked is, of course, how it was connected. Okay, so the cool thing about this is that when you're cutting this out, these are called festive words. You have an option. You have the option of creating that shadow piece. So each of these have the actual word die and the shadow die. But the phrase is connected. Okay, the phrase is connected with the exception. There's only an exception here when you get down into this hello winter, and I'll talk about that in a second. So joy, that's going to be one word, and then you have the dot. Easy to layer, right? Let it snow. It's going to be one piece. So think of it as one word, but it's three words. But it's one piece, and then there's a dot, right? So you don't have to go in and kind of build this up. Everything has that connection point. Hello, winter. You're going to see the H, E, and the W with the dot. That's connected. This part is connected. So it's very easy with two pieces to just go in and create that. You're going to see these on so many different makes. I like that they're really big in scale. So they will be the focal point of a card, but they will also, like the word joy, would fit on a gift tag. Just nice. I liked how eclectic the font was. Like many of you, I'm a font junkie. And that's what I like. I like that you just never know what you're going to get with the next letter. And I haven't seen lettering like this very much. It usually has a very consistent style. And you know me, I'm consistently inconsistent. That's what I like. All right. I know you like those letters for a lot of things. Yeah, me too. But sadly, this artist has only done a Christmas set. But trust me, if they had other ones, I'd be all over it. All right. Next up, we're going to talk about snowflakes. And scribbly snowflakes at that. There again, one can never have too many snowflakes. Snowflake dyes are just, they're cool to have because we can have snowflakes that will have all sorts of different styles. I've done beautiful large ones that become a focal point. I've had some that have a very sophisticated look, like flurries, which were very, very detailed and intricate. These just have a touch of whimsy, very scribbly. Now, I will talk about these because you have options as a maker as to how you want to use these. Some people might think of these as very kind of cartoonish. It reminds me of the cartoons that come on, like the claymation that comes on at the holidays, like Rudolph and Frosty. But also they have a little bit of an atomic vibe, which is also really cool, you know, just kind of some of these little shapes. Now, when you utilize these, you're going to notice that some of these snowflakes have these little dots, okay? This is part of the die. But you as the maker have the option of either just cutting out the snowflake, boom, sticking it onto your make, or use the snowflake, but then also stick these down, or maybe you want to go in with the gel pen or glitter glue or whatever. So the dots, because it was part of the design, I still liked it. Not all of them have dots, but just know as the maker that you don't have to use the dots to get the snowflake. Each one of these scribbly snowflakes is its own snowflake by itself. But the dots are part of the die that if you wanted to stick those back down, they're just kind of fun. They have a really cool scribbly vibe to them. I like just how different they are and the look of them. They're very cool for backgrounds. And you're going to see that from the makers. They have just a really great touch of whimsy for that, for sure. So that's really kind of into the wintry vibe. And then we're going to get into, well, a lot of things. And you may have been following along. You may have been seeing the sneak peeks. Oh my gosh. There are so many good designs this year. I just love them. This guy, well, he's Mr. Frost. Now, I've done snowmen in the past, and I even go back to when I did a big snowman. I think it was called Assembly Snowman. He was very primitive. He just has just big circles, and I don't know. It's amazing how technology has come with the ability to detail stuff for a thinlit. I absolutely love the whole thinlit idea because it does give us that perspective and that ability to really cut very thin, small things. So the cool thing about Mr. Frost, and I'll show you that, is I wanted a snowman that has a cool wintry vibe. I didn't want him to be cartoony, if you will. I wanted to have just a nice look to him that just had a snowman. It's hard to find a good snowman. I'm telling you. If you look, it's just hard to find a good snowman. I love it. But let me just talk about the design elements. One of the things that I always think a snowman really brings to life is his facial features, like the eyes, the mouth, the buttons. And usually you would just have circle dots that you would have to stick on there. So the way this one is designed, I'll just hold this up so you can see. We start on that background of that light blue. Do you guys see that light blue kind of gray colored back there? That's his base. So that's going to be one of the dies. The next layer is going to be kind of this black layer. And the black layer is going to be a very interesting shape. Okay, pretty much mimics this white a little bit that you would stick down next. Or whatever color you wanted to be the undertone of the eyes, the mouth, and the buttons. Then you cut the white layer, and those are all cutouts. So the cool thing is you don't have to go in and stick all these pieces down. These are cut out through this layer. So in 1, 2, 3 layers, you have that snowman with the expression. Then you get to go in and embellish him. That's the beauty of that. So the scarf, just a couple of layers. You can cut this out of any color, any kind of material. You can put this on. If you wanted to switch it around, could you snip this off and stick it over here? You could, but it's one piece. The arms, very thin, very skinny, very twiggy, very detailed. One of the things that we get to do when it comes to spec is anything that it's going to end, we get to taper it off. So those arms are really skinny. Again, they could be positioned however you want. You're sticking this down, so you can have, you don't have to have his arms sticking up in the air, but he can hold on to something, right? He can hold on to a charm, a candy cane. He could be leaning up against something. Then, of course, we have the carrot nose with just that little added detail for shadow. And then we have the hat. The hat is not connected to the base, and you'll see in the makes that some makers did him without the hat. So you can add the hat on him or not. Completely up to you, right? So that's not part of the overall base, because I didn't want a snowman that would always have that hat. Because maybe you have some of the older dies, right? Maybe you have some of the previous dies, like the wardrobe, where you want to put a stocking hat on him or a different type of hat. That's a thing to remember. And I love his look. I love the charm, and I love that all of these little circles are just imperfect, where they do look like little rocks or coals or stumps. Just really cute. So what paper? I'm using a variety of paper. So back here is just going to be a textured paper that happens to just be a colored cardstock. And then the actual snowman, I like to use watercolor cardstock because you get that little dimply ripply on there. See that? So I just think that looks kind of more realistic for snow. That's what I use. But you can use, honestly, glitter paper, whatever. He is a happy snowman. I agree. Moving on to the happy. This guy, this is Cozy Winter. And it was just a very cute scene. Really fun. You're going to see everything from vintage to whimsy in this launch, and that is what I love about it. So this whole scene, right, this Cozy Winter, you have several elements. You're going to have this branch. You're going to have this cute little woodpecker. Now, he could be used on the branch. He could go anywhere you want. There's some small little snowflakes, very tiny. I mean, much smaller in scale to these, just so you get the idea, right? They're very small, right, especially for the scene. But then we've got this bear, and I love him. So here's some of the things that we tried out, that we played with for this launch that I thought was really cool. One, of course, is taking this bear and having this bear where we've got this really strong debossed line. Usually we'll use a debossed line for scoring or crease for folding, but this time we're like, how thick can we make that to where when we cut it out, we're going to get texture in there? And that's really what we've done here. By putting that in there, when you run this through, it's going to deboss these marks into the paper, and that's going to be the marks on the bear body, down here for the paws, and also that detail in the scarf. So the scarf, of course, it's one layer, but because we're able to put that in there, you really get a lot of extra detail. Another great trick when it comes to any time you have a die, I've done this with embossing folders as well, is ink your die, right? You can ink your die. I prefer to use archival ink because archival ink is oil-based, so it will stay wet long enough on the metal that I ink up my die first, then I die cut it, and then it's going to push ink into those debossed areas. So for example, if I inked my die black with black soot archival, ran it through, it's going to cut the shape, but then wherever there's these deboss, it's going to deboss that color, and that often brings out that detail even more. You can try it with regular distress ink, but usually, or oxide. Oxide does better than distress ink. It doesn't often want to transfer onto the metal, and that's really why I use that. But play around with different inks. You know, just want to make sure that the ink you're using is not a fast drying ink. Otherwise, you don't have time to run it through the machine and actually have it transfer. But you can see here he's got a great little mug with a heart. Of course, this could be for hot cocoa. This could be for your coffee-loving friends. You don't have to put the mug in there. He could be holding on to something else, right? He could be holding on to a tree or a present or anything. It's just a cute little scene. And I love his expression because, of course, you get to control his expression. You can have him looking up at the snow. However you position the eyes, really cute. Just cute. And I love that little bird. See there again, we use that crease rule right there in his eye just to give him that wonderful little smirk on there. Cute. So that one is Cozy Winter. Then we're going to talk about the vault, right? So we did bring back some designs. Again, we talked about the vault series for Halloween. We did one for Christmas. These are the only two that we have planned so far, just to see what you guys think of bringing back older dies in different ways. If you like this, maybe we'll do more. And if not, well, we tried it. The cool thing about this vault series for Christmas is I did dip into a lot of different types of dies. I took elements from so many older SKUs. One, of course, was the Festive Gent. Now, he used to be a steel rule die. Now he's a thinlit, right? All of these are thinlit dies. He's a little smaller in scale. I love his look. I just love that Victorian-esque look of him. The wreath, of course, is separate. You don't have to have him holding the wreath. You can have him just walking through a cityscape or anything like that. But I love this guy. Also the caroler. Now the Victorian carolers, there was actually a pair. It was a man and a woman. I just took her from there because I don't know, I liked her. I liked her shape and style. And again, this used to be a steel rule die, but now we change it into a thinlit. We tried to keep as much of the aesthetic as we could, give it a smaller scale, and same thing with the lamppost. We included a lamppost. Now the wreath is to scale so it could hang from the lamppost. So even if you didn't want to do the carolers and you were just going for a holiday lamppost, you could. Then we have this Christmas. This used to be a much bigger thinlit in the past, and it had the word Merry with it. But I love the typography. It came from a vintage Christmas card. So this one is just, I love that word. So this will fit perfect on a tag or a regular card, but this is a smaller scale than the original one. Then we have this die. This was one of my favorites. I love this. This was called a fold-up bow. And this was a set of dies that cuts this bow as one long piece of paper. So it starts wide and then it goes narrow and then it goes wide and it goes narrow. And all you have to do is literally fold it up on the skinny parts, wrap that strip of paper that comes with it around, and secure it with a tiny attacher. I'm going to see if I can, if I want to peel this off or not. I'm going to, because, well, why not? I can. Okay? So in this, you just take this off so you guys can see that. Why not? I like to glue stuff down. So on the back of this, when I fold this up, I go in and secure it with, you can use a tiny attacher as one staple, or you can go in with glue. You can see that little bit of the tiny attacher right there. There we go. And then, of course, we can also wrap that around. So tiny attacher, pretty small in scale, right? Just allows me to go in, staple it, and then that little paper strip is what I wrap around to cover the staple. If you don't want to use the tiny attacher and you want to go in and hold it with glue, you go for it. And then you get to make this puffy if you want. You can smash it, but it's just nice to have an easy paper bow on there. Another thing that I love, now that I made this look so beautiful, are these dimensional stars. Now these stars, you're going to cut them out. They're going to already have the crease rule in there. All you do is you're going to take your star and you're going to fold it in half. I'll do some different technique videos. Maybe I think I'll probably do some Instagram. Probably do some Instagram lives for like some quick tips on like bow assembly or folding up the stars. These things are really easy to do. If you try to accordion fold it, it's very challenging because it'll drive you crazy. But really, if you look at the star, oh, this is my star. I don't care. I'm just going to rip everything off. This is mine. Okay.
Because you can.
Because I can. Here we go. Let me just open this up. I'll do a quick star demo here. One of my favorite sets. This set actually used to come with a lot of different stars, right? Different sizes, different shapes of stars. This was an old thinlit. But these two were really my favorites because I love the ability to add a very lightweight dimensional star to a card or a tag without having, a big metal thing. So here's how you do it. So when you cut it, you're going to have these little tabs, right? These tabs that go in the back. These tabs are designed that, one, it's going to give you a place to glue. But two, if you wanted to stick two of them back to back, and make an ornament, make a puffy star, you could do that as well. So here's how it works. When you cut this, usually people will go in and try to do this accordion fold. And that is really tricky, especially on the smaller ones. The stars, if you look, they all have horizontal folds, no matter how you turn it. So once you cut it, all you're going to do is you're going to fold it in half, open it up, fold it in half, open it up, fold it in half. Don't worry about valley and mountain folds right now. That's the thing. Don't worry about that. Instead, fold, open, fold, open, fold. Once you do that, then all your folds are going to be there. All you're going to do is just take your fingers and you're going to kind of gently pinch each of these arms of the star, and that's it. There's your innie and outie. It's that simple. And then these tabs fold under, right? Or you can cut them off if you don't want them, but it gives you an area to glue. And then once you put your liquid adhesive, it does allow you to place it down on the surface, kind of zhuzh it, just get it as puffy as you want, because you don't have to have it at its full peak. You can have it a little flatter if you want to, but the whole design is to have a dimensional star. Very, very simple, right? That's the thing. And this is just regular, this is the metallic craft cardstock, so we're talking like 100-pound cardstock, simple, right? Very easy to do, but I love the metallic because it has kind of that, because it's a printed metallic, it's not a foil metallic, it does have that kind of gum wrapper vibe, right? Did you guys ever used to make stuff out of gum wrappers? Do they still do gum wrappers? They do gum wrappers like that, right? The foil ones?
Yeah, they
you know
do.
what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to love to play with those as a kid. I always thought it was magic metal, right? Because it was so thin. Anyway, so you have two different stars of that. That's the Vault series. It's just exciting stuff. Maybe you have a lot of these dies already, but these were some of my favorites. Now, I will tell you that the stars and the bow are the same as the originals, right? Because I knew exactly what I wanted. So we did not change scale on these, but these we did, because these went from stewable die and a thinlet to something else. So if you have these, well, you already have them. There you go.
The Vault, everyone's super happy about the Vault series.
I'm happy.
Being
I'm
able
happy
to get
you're
stuff
happy.
they haven't been able to get. And
I hope so. Yeah, I really hope that Sizzix is listening and they kind of like that. Yeah, Deborah says gum wrapper chains. Totally. I remember that too. I do love it. I like the idea of that. Okay, let's get into something a little cute, right? Everyone loves a little good touch of cute, don't we? Okay, so if you have the patience and you're into cute, the Christmas minis, they are cute. I'm not going to lie. They are. But they're mini. They're tiny. I mean, look compared to my pork chop thumb, right? Thumb, gingerbread man. Smaller than my thumb. They are tiny. I recommend if you're ever going to do anything like this, that all of your paper has some type of adhesive sheets on the back of them. There's a lot of companies that do adhesive sheets, from Sizzix to Simon to Scrapbook.com to, you could run it through a Xyron, but putting adhesive on your paper first before you die cut makes this easy. It's literally peel and stick, because if you have to go with liquid glue and try to glue all these things down, you're not going to be bothered. But if you have the adhesive sheets on the back, it does make getting these little dots on there much easier. But I'll talk about kind of how we designed. As always, I've done mini stuff in the past, but as we learn new tricks, we try to implement them. So for example, on the candy cane, usually when I do a candy cane, it's white, and then I have all of these little boxes that you have to go in to do your stripes. But we learned with Colorize, with Winifred, when we did like the zebra, that we can connect those stripes with a piece of paper. So really this candy cane is only 3 pieces. It's the white base, it's going to be that color because all those little stripes are connected, and that little bow, totally optional, right? There's your wreath, and again, you don't have to add the berries. You can make this any color you want. You can utilize the bow on the top or the bottom. You do you. Then we've got that cute little snowman. I love his hat. Very Blues Brothers. I think he's cute with his little stick arm. That gingerbread, hilarious. Just his big head and happy mouth. You can totally change the appearance or kind of personality of them by how you position the eyes. A very simple Santa. Again, we start with the whole base being that white. We add on a skin tone, we add on a hat, and off you go. Little ornaments, these are probably the most fussy because they're very, very tiny, but I love the little detail. And they're just cute to do. Great stocking. Now this could be cut out of felt if you wanted to do felt. You can add this on. You could do adhesive or some simple stitching. The tree, you can make it a snowy tree, or you can add metallic if you wanted it to look like tinsel or garland. I love the little package. It's always good to have a little gift. This could be used even for a quick icon on a birthday card because it's just got that very just kind of funky, whimsy box. It's not really a square. Then we've got the bow that's all one piece, and then that little gift tag. Oops. Separate. And then we've got the holly. Now the holly, you can see again, we use that crease rule in there to get that detail. And then we have those little berries that if you wanted to stack that little extra piece, you could, but you didn't have to. Now these little guys also come with a circle base. Do you have to put them on a circle? No, right? But they come on a circle base. You can see here on the packaging, they're not on that. And the benefit of this is, one, you have minis. You have minis to do whatever you want with. However, if you are a fan of these guys, dimensional domes, these were released several years ago. They make the cutest little shaker snow globes because unlike a regular shaker dome, a dimensional dome, well, it's just that. It's very dimensional, very bubbly. And so these all work behind that. So if you wanted to put this on a tag and you put glitter or sequins, you can make a cute little snow globe or a little shaker, getting that reflection of that high-tech little ring light out there. But you see how much space you have? That's what I like about these, is that you can put a lot of little shakety-shake elements in there from your mica, your glitter, your snow. You don't have to use them with the domes, but they are all scaled that you can fit them inside that dome if you wanted to make gift tags. And often that's really the thing. You know, maybe you're just doing something where you're sending out gift cards, or you want to do some quick gifts with your neighbors. These are really great because they add that touch of dimension, but they're very simple to do. They also make great ornaments, right? I think it was Stacy that did a cool like back-to-back with these, where you stick two back-to-back, you have your die-cut shapes back-to-back, and you kind of outline it with snowflakes. A lot of ideas for that. I just put it on a tag just to show you how they work. But the minis are great, but they definitely require a little patience anytime we have detail with patience. But I'm not quite sure where the whole handmade industry is going, where people are getting frustrated that they actually have to spend time making. To me,
That's it.
The more the better. It's kind of like a puzzle, right? I wouldn't want to buy a puzzle with 20 pieces because I want the puzzle to be done. No, I look at a puzzle and it's like 500 pieces. I'm like, bring it on.
Every day, you do a little bit here and there.
Because if you enjoy a puzzle, that's what you'd want. So to me, making is the same. But I always like to give you those tips because maybe you don't have the patience. Sometimes my hands just don't want to cooperate, and I don't have the dexterity to go in and do those dots. So a pen to the rescue, right? Or glitter. But there's always ways to work around what you're doing. This is another workaround. I cannot bake, but I love cookies. I love to eat cookies. I love to look at cookies, especially around the holidays. I love that nostalgia of gingerbread. And I've done a series of cookies in the past called Fresh Baked. They were definitely more colorful, whimsy, cartoony. This time I wanted to do very traditional iced gingerbread cookies. And so when I saw this art, I'm like, this would be a great die set to do it. So these are just Christmas cookies. And what it is, your die set, really simple. I'll show you the art. You're going to have an outline die of your cookie. So these are also great icons. And then you're going to have the frosting layer. So do they always have to be iced? No. Can you ice them with glitter or flocked paper or anything dimensional? Yes, you can, because that's going to be a separate die. Now, how I did mine, you can use either, this was old Ideology substrate sheets, but you can also layer up craft stock. You can use surfaces. I think paper leather Sizzix used to have. So you can stack these up. So this right here is about, you can see, it's about 3 layers of Ideology substrate sheet just kind of glued together. Again, same with paper leather. Then I went in and did a layer of white. That was the frosting layer. Once this was all glued down, then I went over it with some glossy accents, just to give it that little iced element. I think these are really cute because you can do a display. These are great to put on a garland. I just saw someone say, Henriette said craft foam. Yeah, craft foam. If you can find brown craft foam, which I know they make, that would be a very quick layer, very lightweight. A cute project that I think even kids could go in and decorate. Right after this was built up, they can do markers, sprinkle it with glitter. It's just a great way to kind of make cookies without, well, making cookies. But this could be ornaments. These could be gift tags. These could go around anything. If you're a baker and you do bake for the holidays, a great way to make a little tag. Because remember, the die itself, because it starts out as a frame. Oh, let's just open it. Why not? This is how it is. I love the glossy accents. Glossy accents is a great addition. Here's another tip. If you want these to be sugary, when you put your glossy accents on, while the glossy accents is wet, use your glitter duster and take your glitter duster and just dust over some clear rock candy and let that dry on there and then shake it off, and then you're going to have like iced and kind of sugary cookies. So because your base die is this framelit, if you want to turn these into cards, you would simply fold your cardstock first, put the fold of the cardstock just inside the blade on one end, right? So if you wanted the candy cane, it could open from the top, or you can put the fold just inside that blade, and you can actually make all of these little note cards. Well, where do you see the inspiration? There's a lot of ways that we can use these cookies. Less messy, but not as delicious, I will say. Not as delicious, but needed to do some cookies. And I kind of got in this baking vibe. I don't know what it was, but when I saw this, it brought back a sense of nostalgia, and hopefully it brings a sense of nostalgia for you guys. So this is called the Retro Oven. And this was really just because I know so many people have that talent to bake, right? Maybe you're baking cookies or pies or treats. It is a perfect time around the holidays to make delicious things. And so this die, this little retro oven, is a fun die because it's got that classic shape of the oven, some really great details of just the burner. I love that cool gauge. It kind of made it my own. I wanted a little kind of edgy steampunk, kind of cute. And then there are all of those elements to the oven itself. So you can see here when it's cut, we again incorporated that heavy crease rule. Here's where you can see that black ink in action. Can you see the dark there? That's from me taking my archival ink, right? I use black soot. Now, because I didn't want it to be like a really stark line where it looked like I took a pen, when I inked my die, I kind of pressed it and just skipped it along so you can see how that color fades. Again, you do what's going to work for you, but inking your die is going to really highlight those debossed lines. This is just done with metallic cardstock because I wanted that kind of chrome retro feel of that. All of that trim is chrome. Then you've got the burners here. Then you've got those little knobs. Again, you can do whatever you want to do from a color perspective. The other cool thing that this comes with, of course, are all these little cookie pieces. There's all these little shapes, and these are strip dies. So when you run it through, you will get 4 of each of those in its own die. So you'll have a star die, a tree die, a heart, and a little gingerbread. This way you'll get 4 cookies at a time. I didn't want to just do one where you were cutting it a bazillion times. So again, I went ahead and took some substrate sheet, but this could be, paper leather, anything that's going to be thick. Again, this could be foam, and you can make cookies. And those cookies could just go in the oven. They're also really cute because you can make a garland. Just think mini kind of cookie cutters are charming. But really, this was inspired by this die, right? So this is a die that I did earlier this year, and I said, hey, you guys remember, this is going to be something that I'm going to really want for the holiday season. I love the whole retro TV. Because I wanted more detail, I needed the oven to be a thinlit instead of a bigs, right? Because I needed all those little gadgety bits. But if you notice, the opening is the same. And this opening is designed to fit this dome. It's a rounded rectangle. This was the one that went into the TV. If you guys remember, I shared this when I did that little live where you can put that in there. It makes a great Christmas scene, right? Because we have all that depth. I even put tiny lights in the back of mine. This can hang on something. But see, I added some mica, a little ideology tree, a little holiday postcard. And this could sit in a vignette box, or this could be mounted onto a picture frame. But I just thought it was really cute to take a television and fill it with whatever kind of scene. You could even do a Halloween scene, right? Put purple tiny lights in there. But that's really the inspiration behind this dome. But then as a designer, I'm like, well, gosh, I don't want to just make one SKU for one thing, right? It's like, oh, here's the TV dome. So it really got me thinking, like, what else would I want to do? And trust me, many ideas came to mind in this. But I thought, what would be fun for this? And, well, yes, it would be utilizing that oven. So these guys, I'll just show you. It just pops right in there, right under there. And then, yes, you have that oven, and now you can make little shakety shake. And you're going to see from the makes that you can have these cookies shake around. You can put anything you want in there if you want, or you could even do a little scene. You're going to see some of the makers even did a little Christmas scene inside there. So even if you know somebody that loves to bake or cook, you can still do a great little setting for that. I even think this would be great for Thanksgiving. I do, right? Because that's always a fascinating meal to me. But I do love the TV. I told you it's one of my favorite things. Inspired by a trip to Disneyland where I saw all these old TVs where they had repurposed and did scenes inside the glass. And I'm like, oh, I love it. I love it. I love it.
I can't stop thinking about pie now since you said pie.
I'm ready for, it's like pecan pie season, isn't it, Mario? I think it is.
I think it's going to have to start.
I think it is. Okay. All right. Let me put these guys in this basket. I'm going to move this off to the side just in case I need them a little bit later. I might. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'll do that. That'll work. Okay. Moving right along. Now we're going to get into definitely more of the holiday themed designs. And this first one, this is Seasonal Sketch. I really love the sketch look of this. It's got some really great solids that are connected, and also this sketch layer. And that sketch layer is nice because you can line it up. It is designed to line up perfectly, or you can do it off register, like I did here. Off register meaning you just make it go off the edge a little bit, and then you can see through the pieces. We designed this to be a very simple die set. So again, if you look at the art, you're going to see that all the holly leaves are connected, right? So that trio is connected. You could cut them apart. They're only connected at the very end, but you can cut them apart, or it's one simple pass for the solid, one simple pass for the outline on each of those. So you've got the trio of holly leaves, the duo, the flower, and then even the berries. So if you look here on the berries, again, just to make things simple, all the berries are like one blob, and then we took that sketch layer to outline 3 different berries. So it makes assembly very, very quick for these. The other nice thing about having this layer of the solid and the outline is you could back this with glitter cardstock, you could stick these right on top of one another, and you could fill this in with glossy accents if you wanted to give it more of an enameled look, or you can kind of do this off register, and you're even going to see you can shape and sculpt these as well. Just, it's a cool die. I like the look of it. I like kind of the sketchiness. And that's the whole thing with florals. I think there's so many different styles and designs of florals. This is one of my favorites. I've done it a lot in the everyday line this year. We did this, I think this was last year. It's hard to remember what year it was, but this was Holiday Brushstroke. And this was, again, taking that very watercolor style. You can see stylistically completely different, right? This has more of a clean kind of modern look to it. This is, well, this is done from a watercolor, right? We licensed a watercolor and just went in and tried to outline a lot of those brush strokes. So you can see the pine has that brushstrokeness, the leaves, that big berry branch, and these are really great because of the ability to layer watercolor paper or inked paper. And so this year, wanted to do a different type of brushstroke, right? So this holiday brushstroke is just different elements, right? Elements that are to scale with these elements. So if you have this die, now you've got more elements that will work together. So if you like this style and you want to create a card, or you want to create a frame or a wreath or anything, what I love about this holiday brushstroke, of course, is we've got that cool pine cone. Again, very brushstroke. The mistletoe. We've got this, I have no idea, just big green thing, which I like. This is kind of juniper-y, cedar branch to me, and then a different style of berry branch and a twig branch. So again, all of those pieces would come together to create a beautiful, festive watercolor look. So if you are a fan of any of those brushstrokes from the flowers that we've done this year, this is that same concept, same scale, just done for the seasons. And of course, these leaves you could use with those other ones, right? You wanted something that kind of looks like a fern to go with the regular brushstrokes that you might have, then that's going to be a great fern if you did that in bright green or something like that. So just stuff to keep in mind, that there's often shapes that I build on a concept, but I want to make sure that it's going to match the scale of the other ones in the everyday line. That's the thing, man. Dies, stamps, tools are an investment, but they're an investment worth making because you can always incorporate them with what's new to kind of mix and match and really kind of do your own thing. I love the look of that. All right. Then the next style, because you can never get enough flowers, right? So this is Festive Bouquet. This definitely has a more artistic style, right? It's not going to be modern. It's not going to be brushstroke. It's definitely very artistic. It has some beautiful lines, some wonderful little cutout layers in here. The great thing about this, these are all different elements. So if you look there from the die design, it's very helpful if you guys are ever, especially for those that only have the ability to shop online and you're really, you can't pick it up and look and feel and shake. Always try to look for that to kind of see like, wait a minute, is this one big old die? You can also kind of read that to see how many pieces. But this is so you as the maker can create your own bouquet, right? Maybe you just want to do a whole bunch of holly, Or maybe you want to do a whole bunch of cedar or juniper and make a wreath out of it. Or maybe you want to do different poinsettias, and you can see that the style, again, it has kind of that, this reminds me of the leaf fragments, right? That kind of eroded look of those. And again, this is just color cardstock that I do for packaging, but this out of watercolor cardstock or any of your inky backgrounds with oxide or even the mica stain, man, that would be amazing. Well, you'll see how amazing it is because the makers rock this one too. Love the bouquet. All right. Next, we're going to get into Colorize. Now, Colorize, I'm so happy that really Colorize has stayed around. I say stay around because you guys continue to embrace it. This is one of those things, though, that when I read a lot of comments, it has a love-hate relationship. And I get that, right? I always say, you do you. But if you haven't tried a Colorize or you haven't given yourself permission to just, like, explore a Colorize, they're kind of fun to do, especially if you like the idea of building. This guy, I would have to say, and I've said it even to the makers when we did it, he is my most favorite Colorize to date. He does have a lot of pieces, not as many as the original Santa, but he's pretty detailed. But this Woodland Santa, I love him. Look at that. How freaking cool is he? I just love the fact that he's, and you're going to see, he's got a kind of a lumberjack vibe, but I designed him that he could be an outdoors guy. And you're going to see one of the makes, he doesn't have to be a Santa. And what I mean by that is his body, his whole person, that is one base die. Because with Colorize now, you build on a base. So it's actually much easier than you might think. This is all going to be your one base. Then you're able to stick your 2 black layers on for the boots. You have your 1 red layer there. The cutouts are for the buttons. You can do the little gold elements that are part of the die, or you can use a pen. All the little detail work, those are all done by specific colors. So it's very easy to cut red 1, red 2, white. All of the white pieces are going to be within that element when it comes to your Colorize die, all the pieces. But here's some of the things. Let me see if I can disassemble him a little bit. The bag, I didn't want to make the bag part of him because if you didn't want him to be Santa, I didn't want him carrying around the bag. So the bag pieces, you can see, are separate. And there's always animation. Sizzix does a great job having videos on YouTube that show you how to assemble this. But you can see it fits right in like a puzzle that if you want to do the bag, and then you can put that piece over his shoulder. So that doesn't have to be there. Okay? The other thing that doesn't have to be there is this tree. I love this tree. I love this snowy tree. But right here, the trunk of the tree is separate. And the tree itself, if I can pull this off, let's see. Oh, it's really stuck in there. But I'll just lift it up. There you go. That is also separate, right? So that Santa could just be his own thing. He could have a woodland tree coming out of there. He could be holding onto a sign, right? Maybe you want to just put ribbon right there, and he could be holding a holiday sign. There's a lot of different things that he could be or he could have. The tree could go angled. The tree could be standing up behind him, and then you get to decide how you want to put the trunk of that tree. And I just like tucking it under his beard because it just makes it a little bit more perspective, right? So a lot of fun. I think I lost an eye. I think I just took his eye out. That's all right. That's all right. Just shoot your eye out, kid. Okay. So that's this guy. That's Woodland. I love it. I do.
People, they love his feet.
Me too. Yeah. I just like his whole body. I like how tiny his face and head is. And now that he's kind of missing a little bit of an eye. But you will see that all those little layers, they're really not a lot of little pieces. They aren't. All the cutout details we really try. Lisa just rocks it. Lisa is the one that I work with at Sizzix that takes all of the designs and actually turns it into a die, turns it into magic. So a shout out to Lisa, because I look at this, I'm like, oh, wouldn't this Santa be cool as a colorized die? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know how I can do it. So yeah. Oh, here's his eye. It's stuck to my table now. Oh well. It's stuck there.
As soon as you hear, wouldn't it be cool?
Well, that's just how I roll. Yeah, somebody might put a googly on this. All right. Next up for Colorize is another snowman because, well, I read the comments. You can't have too many snowmen. But this guy, this is Winston. Now, Winston, I don't know. He just had a look. He just looked like a Winston to me. I love his style. He's big. He's definitely on the bigger scale than, I'll show you, Mr. Frost. Right? See the difference, guys, in scale? He's big. He's a full-on Colorize. But I wanted that because I really like the whole effect. Again, we did some very cool whimsy cutout lines. Take a look at his scarf, though. I love all the cutouts. because you're not in there sticking all these little pieces down. You're just starting with your background, you're putting your dark, you're putting your light, and you're done, and that scarf is finished, right? The broom, same thing. Great detail where you've got the entire broom as a silhouette, you've got that one layer, and just the twine, and you're done. The hat, same thing. There's your base, there's your shadow, done. You could add the holly if you want, and you can see that his eyes and his carrot nose kind of nests in there if you want. Just makes for a very cool snowman. Different style than Mr. Frost, but I love Winston. I like just how big he is, and really, where do you see the makes? Gosh, he has so many different personalities just from changing the color, because that's the other thing to know about Colorize, that although Colorize is designed to have the dies, and all the dies have the color name etched in the back, so you know it's red 1, red 2, cream, you can build it that way, but you do not have to follow the directions ever, ever, ever. All right? He does look like Winston. See? You're right, Karen. That's where you got the name. All right. Now, you guys, I'm sure, have seen a lot of sneak peeks. If you've been following the sneak peeks, you got to check it out. If you haven't, you're missing out, because the makers share a lot of cool things that they're working on. But this guy, every time he pops up, I read the comments, and it just makes you as happy as he makes me. This is Eugene. Now, Eugene is a very happy, wintry penguin. He's got a lot of cool stuff on him. He's got some very cool design to him. There's elements that if you don't like it, you don't have to use it. But as a penguin, right, black and white, it's got that element there. That's that piece that kind of goes over his face. If you didn't want that, you could remove that and his whole face would be white. But I love the detail. I think that's needed in him. Again, all those layers, the same thing we did with Winston, we did on the scarf, makes it really simple to have all of that great detail and styling, but it's a cutout. So you're not gluing it on. The scarf is really, it's 1, 2, 3, you're done. The hat, 1, 2, 3, and you're done. So all these little cutout layers, those pieces, that's what's giving it the style. The same thing if you look in here in his face, right? He's got 2 little layers here. There are 2 layers in his face. That's what's going to give you the depth. And then we've got his wonderful little feet. And then this guy right here for Eugene, if you didn't want him holding a gift, the gift comes with the die set, but of course it's not part of him. Meaning he's completely finished as a penguin. So if you wanted to do something wintry that's not Christmas related at all, that's fine. If you want him to hold a heart, you can do that as well. He could be holding maybe the tree from the Woodland Santa. Just Eugene is, well, he's just adorable. He's very, very cute. I love him. So the package, well, just because he's going to have a package doesn't mean that I'm going to cut corners when it comes to a Colorize. I need to make a Colorize package. So this in itself, a lot of detail, right? We've got that base layer of purple, that medium layer, that bright layer, and then the bow. But again, you'll have a present that would be a great stack of gifts that you can put on a birthday card. That's a great icon just to do that for happy birthday. So look at those shapes as a shape. That's what it is. Look at it, right? He could hold a gingerbread cookie. That would be adorable. He could hold anything. That's the whole idea. Just wanted to point that out because sometimes, you know, when you see something finished, it's like, okay, I got to put the box in his hand. It's like, no. You can. You do you. Right? Maybe you don't even want him to have a present. Maybe he's just out there chilling. Maybe he's sitting there, a pile of snowballs in front of him. Who knows? Right? But again, with the adhesive, that's the cool part right here. All right? Yeah, so people are talking about the face. You do you, guys. This is the design. This is how the artist drew him. This is the black stripe that comes down on the penguin's face, right? That little peak in there. And so that is how I colored it. It's all part of the black and white penguin. Just has an artistic style. You don't like it, you don't have to use it, right? You can not put this black layer on and you would reveal the face layer underneath because the thing about Colorize, it starts as a base. But that is how the artist saw the penguin, and that's how I fell in love with Eugene. He's wonderful. Love it. All right. Okay. Next up, we're in the home stretch of just talking about the designs, and then we're going to get into the makes. I am very happy that last year this die set was a hit. And I say a hit because you guys got it, if you could, because it was hard to get last year, but you used it. That was the thing. And the makes that we saw with it were just unbelievable. So this, of course, is the Paper Village. And what it is a die set that are designed to make all these wonderful little houses with ease. You have base die structures, and you have all of these different window and door options. you don't just have to make these buildings. You can mix and match doorways. You can put windows where you want them. You can cut them out of a lot of different papers. I always love to use my craft heavy stock because it's 130-pound craft. So it's enough that stays very durable and rigid when you're doing that. But it also allows for a nice build. And so because of the success of that, I wanted to continue the village. So this is Paper Village 2, right? More houses, same scale, but different shapes and sizes. So here's Paper Village 2. And so here's what I wanted to do this time. One, I wanted to create a tower that was a little different, right? Paper Village 1, we had a great tower, but that tower had just a very specific peak roof. This one you can see, it has that wonderful cone on the top, kind of like a turret, like a castle. You could go in and you could cut out whatever windows. So if you wanted to do the square windows and put those all the way down to make it look like, I don't know, like a tall hotel, you can. Or a circle to make it look like a clock tower. We've got this much taller building because you can see here all these other ones. They're pretty much smaller. They all stay the same width, right? So when you're building that, they all have that same width. But when it comes to height and that kind of width, we wanted to just make these a little bit bigger. Again, you can mix and match the windows. This one, I love this shutter window die where you go in, it's just going to cut almost like an H, if you see that. It's going to cut two lines and one down the middle. You just go in and kind of bend them back with tweezers just to open the little shutters. I love that we've got the little divided windows now, right? So you can see over here, just from the tower perspective, whether you want to put on just that straight tower or whether you want to do that tall, skinny tower, you have creative options when it comes to how you want to create this build, right? Now, the other thing is this house. This house is a little different. I wanted to do something that would completely change the perspective or landscape of your village, right? Because I thought, okay, if you're going to do other houses, how are we going to change it up? Well, let's do some bigger buildings. So if you're going to do something like a little hotel, or you want to do a little streetscape, because we've seen these used all year. People are making little surf villages. There's all sorts of cute things that you can do with it. But I love having kind of this side profile. And what that means is that we've changed the pitch of the roof. So all of these you see all come to the point in the front. This one, no, it goes straight. The point comes in on the side. So does that mean you could then build the house on the side and have it kind of long ways? Yes, you can. You can still do whatever you want to do. You can put the door wherever you want it. The other way I wanted to kind of switch it up is to add a chimney. And I felt this was a little bit of a challenge. The challenge for me when it came to this is that when you're dealing with small pieces, I don't mind doing detail, but I need to do stuff that I can actually build, right? So these are very simple. It's a great little box. It's got that flat piece over the top. But then the challenge came to how do I put it on the roof? How do I put it on the roof without it looking like I just put a ton of glue or goop over the top? And how do I factor in all the different angles of the roof lines, right? How do I have a chimney that's going to go on this one and that's not going to go on this one because this has a different pitch? Well, it's very simple. Well, I say that now because I figured it out. It wasn't simple at the time, but listen to me go. All right, so this really easy. What we've done, I'm just going to rip this off, kind of hear it pop, is in your die set, you're going to have a square die, okay? There's going to be two. One is going to be a big square. That's going to sit on top of that chimney because the chimney just wraps and you glue this on the top. Or if you don't want a topper, you can just leave it like that. But you're going to have this little square die. That little square die you can position on any roof line to cut the square. The chimney itself, let me see if I can just finish ripping this off. It's the day of just disassembling my stuff. But you got to see it. Okay, here we go. So that's a chimney piece. So you can see that it's just a stack. It has no angle to it. And so by cutting that square into the roof line, that allows you as the maker, you could put it in like that if you wanted. If you wanted it to come out like that, that's completely fine. But what you're going to do is you're going to find whatever angle it's going to sit best in, and then you're simply going to tack it with adhesive. Just liquid glue. You can put some there, put some on the top, and then you can have that little chimney on the roof line. So that is, you can see it there, right? You can see it close. That's how you do it, right? Small little square, position it where you want. I use collage medium because collage medium is going to be completely invisible. It's going to shrink when it dries and doesn't leave any shine. But if you're painting or adding, texture paste or grit paste or snow over the top, you can do that a little later. But that's the cool thing about that little piece. All right. So there is the chimney. I really, really love it. I love the idea of Paper Village. I hope you guys like it too. A shout out to Sizzix for letting me expand this village, because I do think that having these different shapes and different windows, and of course they can mix and match, right? You can use these windows in these houses, and these doors in these ones. All the pieces are designed to work together, and if you work with sticky grid, you can actually stick all those pieces down and run it through in one pass. Most of everything will also fit in your sidekick. Most of it. All right. So that's it for the dies. Now we'll talk about, I'll get my chimney out of the way. We'll talk about some embossing. We've got some great 3D. Excited about that. And then we will get on to the makes. All right. This one, an Impresslit. I love an Impresslit, of course, because it's going to cut and emboss. I am so thrilled with this particular Impresslit because we have figured out how to create a rigid peak. Traditionally, when we're doing embossing, we do a lot of contour, especially with 3D. We create a curve or scale. But this one, because I wanted a frozen fractal, right? Frozen, we wanted something that's going to have a very specific diamond shape to it. So the Impresslit, let me take this out. It's going to cut and emboss 2 sizes of snowflakes in your pass. Let me just bring this so you can see what I'm talking about. So take a look at that. So when I talk about it, take a look at how the diamond, see that diamond, that raised? See how it comes to a point right in the middle, and even down to each one of these. That's the cool thing. So instead of it just being kind of a raised bump, we wanted something that's really going to create that winter look. Also added that extra edge, so we kind of stepped it down as we get around that edge, just to give it some great detail for the snowflakes. And that works, of course, on both sizes. So even down to the small one, we still have all of that cool detail. Now, of course, when you get into metallics, right? Again, I'm just working with craft stock. That's where it's really like, wazoo. Look at that. So cool snowflakes. Again, great for a card. Great that you can glue back to back. You can string them up and do garland. I love this color as well. Again, also craft stock. I love the metallic craft stock just because I think it holds embossing so well. I love the look of it. And I love the fact that because it is an inked paper, that's the thing to remember, this is inked, not foiled, it doesn't break. Meaning, often if you try to use a foiled cardstock and you run it through a 3D folder, the foil rips, which is okay, it's just distress, but it will rip and tear through that foil. But because this is inked, it maintains its integrity when you're embossing it. But beautiful, right? Very cool. So, 3D Impresslit Snowflakes. Love it, love it. All right. Then we have some 3D minis. We talked about the year of the mini that we actually took some of our most popular designs and shrunk them down, and so cool to see all the detail and scale. The 3D mini point setup, one of my favorites. I love the look of that. I love this whole design from a vintage postcard. It just has so much great detail. Beautiful things. If you guys see this original folder, look for it on Google or Pinterest even. You can probably go to our Pinterest page and see so many, when this came out, so many makers did amazing, beautiful things with it originally, and I'm happy to say that they did it again for this launch. So the mini point setup, much smaller scale than your traditional large embossing folder, but it doesn't compromise the detail at all. So we have the white cardstock. Take a look at the metallic. Beautiful. If you want some of that to be revealed, you can go in with just sanding it off, right, to reveal some of that craft if you wanted. I love it in gold, right? Beautiful. I also love it in, oh, look at that green. I love it. Now you're going to get some wrinkles sometimes in the actual paper. You see that on the flat paper? That's all right. It just happens. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes it happens and you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. But the cool thing about this, of course, we can sand the edges because it is craft, and then we can ink it and put it down, or you can go in and sew, but you can also reveal some of this on the top, color this with alcohol inks, Copic markers, whatever. It's just really, really beautiful. Then we have another favorite. This is Kaleidoscope. And Kaleidoscope is great because it's a great year-round one. I saw a lot of people use this at springtime, I guess because it looks like flowers or sunshine. But during the winter, it also looks like Christmas. And this is when we started playing around with creating points. It was much easier on this to create diamond points because we had a lot of different angles that Ryan's our 3D guy, that can go in and actually achieve this look. But it was when we were trying to just achieve that four-sided diamond that we did this year, totally different. But there again, I mean, look how beautiful this one is. So I just did it in just blues and coppers and pink, because it's just a stunning folder. Again, think beyond the Christmas season, think springtime, think whatever, but yeah, I love the design. You can always work on the innie as well as the outie. It's really cute. So this is good. What paint? This is just paper. There is no paint involved. These are all, the cardstock comes this way. It's called metallic craft stock. So someone asked what kind of paint I was using. Yeah, this is how the paper comes. I'm just running it through the folder and zippity-doo. Look at that. Magic. But again, the inside, don't underestimate, even on this one. I mean, look at that relief of it. So when you guys are getting out your folders next time, turn them around. Like, that's very, very cool. This just on white cardstock would look stunning. Just to have that relief in there on your card, and then your card, of course, is flat, right? You don't have to worry about that sticking over the top. That's beautiful. Really cool. Okay? I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Then we've got two more folders, two 3D. This one, this is 3D arched. Oh, so look at that. I have a stencil like this with Stampers Anonymous. I do love that. But as a 3D folder, also very cool. And I say 3D, but it's really multi-level. Multi-level and 3D, the difference, guys, is that a 3D is contoured and a multi-level is multi-level. Meaning, instead of us smoothing out the lines of a 3D, because it's the same thick folder, you still have to only do one cutting pad, 3 passes. But when it says multi-level, it just means that your art, there we go, you can see it. The art, you should be able to visibly see a multi-level. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So it's the same height, but it's broken down into levels instead of contour. And so a lot of times things that are architectural or steampunk or sometimes even a flourish, that we really want to reveal those levels, that's why we'll choose to do a multi-level versus a 3D, just how we treat the art. But take a look at how beautiful that is as well. I think that's super cool. Love the idea there of having this as a 3D folder. I mean, I'll be honest, I actually prefer the 3D folder over anything else just because that's really the design that I like. But you'll see that it also does make a very cool background. And you could also use it like this, right? Completely different pattern if you just turn it upside down. Very cool pattern on the deboss. See, multi-level, you're always going to see that step. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, cathedrals, totally what it looks like. Love it, love it. And then this guy. Now, I will say, this was actually supposed to come out probably a couple of years ago. Whenever we did lumber and brickwork, which I don't know if it was 2020, maybe in 2019, not sure. Because again, all the years blurred together. But this one was supposed to come out when we did the wood, the brick, all of those kind of organic textures. But I wanted it to be exactly how I wanted it, and it wasn't perfect, so I waited, and now we have it. So this is called cobblestone. And what I wanted about cobblestone is it does have kind of a gator vibe, but I'm afraid of those. So it's really designed as cobblestone, and you're going to see why. The reason why I wanted this to be exactly how I wanted it to be is that a cobblestone walkway is not level. And that is a thing we needed to explore. We needed to make sure that all of these, well, I wanted to make sure that all of these rocks were not the same height, right? Some are going to be high and smooth. Some are going to actually even taper off at an angle. Some are going to be recessed into the ground, right? So when you start looking at this folder, you're going to see just that. You're going to notice that some of the stones are smooth, some are very textured, some kind of fade, some are higher than the other. That to me is cobblestone. That's really what I love about it. I love the idea of capturing the detail. And good things are worth waiting for. I'm not one to be like, oh, no, I need it, let's just release it. I want it to be exactly how I want it to be, because when you go and add your mediums to it, right? When you go in and add your ink and your crayon, so this just started out as the same white cardstock this was, right? Look, so the inside, that's what I was saying, that's where you get the whole gator skin. That freaks me out, right? That creeps my creep. But take white cardstock, and this is all done with distress. This is a mix of inks, oxides, and then what I went in to kind of give it that shine, that little, because a lot of times the stones, some are just unfinished cobblestone, but often they have such a wear to it that they have a little bit of a sheen. This is just done with some resist spray, distress resist spray, and put it on really, really thin, moved around just so you get that, and then I went in with distress crayon, and that is where you pick up all of that good right there. Isn't that cool? Beautiful cobblestone. I love it. I love it. I love it. I agree. Dawn's a Holy Mother 3D. Yeah, it's very cool. I will be doing a demo, not for this one, but yeah, I'll demo some 3D effects. Very cool. I know a lot of you have followed Zoe Hillman's brickwork, where she did brick. There's so many great 3D techniques out there, but yeah, I'll do a cobblestone one because it's really a lot of fun to create it. But take a look out there. Google, Sizzix 3D tutorials. You're going to see a lot of makers shared some really great ways that they have incorporated 3D. Absolutely love it. Okay, so that's the release, right? That is, I mean, I say that's a lot, but that was a release for the holidays. Let me move some of this stuff out of the way. We're going to get into the makes. Hopefully we are doing well technology-wise.
Doing well,
Good.
the sound is fine, everyone's happy.
Look, we're doing what we can, making it work. Okay, so for the makes, what I decided to do is actually what I normally do for Sizzix is I sort the makes by design. Many of them you're going to see use multiple dyes from different SKUs, but nevertheless, it's just easy that you can kind of see the versatility. Now, of course, I'm going to start out with one that, like, if I did have a sound effect, it would be wah, wah, wah. Because...
hey, don't start talking about my sound effects.
Okay. Because, like, this is the sample for Funky Nordic. So hopefully the lack of inspiration from the makers
Oh my gosh.
doesn't really dictate how well this SKU will do. I'll just assume that the makers were inspired by maybe other SKUs, because this did go to 10 makers, but we have one make. So so thanks, Sharon, for these cards. But I think it's a great die. I think it's great. There's also a tutorial that's going to be on Joanne.com that Stacy did for this. But yeah, I'm just going to say that the makers were busy with so many other ones, because there's plenty of inspiration that hopefully we'll see more inspiration for this Funky Nordic. But this is a sample to share with you. But you can see it's cute. It's very, very simple. I love the idea. Zoe's like, you did not send them to me. I love the idea of really how simple these are. This is what I was saying, is that you can take any of those cute icons, put them on a great little card, pair them up with one of your favorite stamps. This is a great stamp set that I did with Stampers Anonymous. I think this came with the little scribbly trees. I love the little scallop, how she used the 2 candles, or just using the trees. So this is what I was saying. I do think that this die set is so charming because of that, right? The fact that you can just take those elements and put it on a card, or put it on a tag, or string it on a garland. I think there's so many cute things to Funky Nordic.
Well, on the bright side, people do like it.
Good.
Well, the makers did.
Yeah, we'll see more inspiration. I'm sure we will. I'm hopeful. All right. So this one, you're going to see the mountains and the trees played throughout a lot of makes. Okay. But this particular one, this is Yuko's. I'm just going to, when you look at the texture of this one, can you guys see this? I just want to share. So this texture, this was added by Yuko. She went in and added texture paste to those mountains. But this is just showing you a card using the mountaintop and the tall pines. And as I mentioned, cutting apart the tall pines to create a landscape. So when you're looking at these dies, if you're not wanting to do Christmas cards, maybe you want to do some more winter cards, I think this is beautiful. But I wanted to point out that texture, that the added texture that you're seeing in there. Wow, that's cool about texture paste in there. It looks like a little grit paste in there too for the snow. But a very cool kind of scenic perspective utilizing those dies. And really, Yuko was the only one that kind of created that one thing. The other things you're going to see, it's very cool how the makers incorporated these dies into so many different styles. I was absolutely surprised. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a mountain back there. Oh my gosh, look what they did with the tree. So this was the one that really kind of called out the die. Next up, we're going to talk about the makes using the vault. So this first one, this is Zoe with a Y, right? Zoe in Italy. I love this little tag book. I love seeing these elements. Again, just using tags. I love how she does all her mixed media tags. I love seeing stuff turned into a book, because people often say, what do I just do with a tag? Well, this is great to do as an accordion book. Of course, for Christmas, you can do it for gifts. But I love the gessoed background. These are ideology, right? So this 25, these are ideology stencil chips. But take a look at the bow. Look at that wonderful shine on that. See, little glossy accents, or some embossing enamel on there will give it a nice shine. Have that wonderful word Christmas, and then just kind of creating a scene. Right, so there is our festive gent with the wreath, a little caroler, the lamppost, and I love all these little ideology elements in there. And this whole thing is constructed, you can see, it is all constructed just with some tape and then stitching on there. Just some really great accent to it. what I like. So if you're wondering what to do with tags, well, an accordion book, it's great. It can also just be something that you can set up, or it can be a scene that sets up, on a mantle, table. Perfect. These next two tags, these are made by Nico. Again, if you're looking for a gift tag idea, you can take any of your older dies, like for example this frame, and then you can silhouette those elements. Oh, there's a little funky right there. See, now I'm going to start spotting it. Thanks, Nico. Look, there's the funky Nordic. I see the holly and those little flowers in there. Take a look. Nice. Let's see. Maybe it'll be a game. How many times can we spot funky Nordic in these makes? Okay, we'll start doing a little counter. Ding, that's 2.
That's 2.
So here you'll see just that wonderful shadow silhouette, just done out of cardstock. The fact that it's dimensionalized, right? Just using some foam tape, that really kind of pops that up. Pair it with any of your stamped elements or even ideology. Add your little trinkets. This could go on a gift. This could hang on a tree. Not everything has to be complicated, right? That's the whole idea. Not everything has to be that. But utilize your shapes. This is a great use of that old frame just to go in and set the scene or give yourself an anchor point for silhouette dies especially. But I also like that little addition of that little bling, that sparkle right there. That's cool. All right. So next up, we're going to go into these right here. Look at this. Ooh. Any guesses? Go bold. Go color. I'll give you a hint. Anita. Yep. Always fascinated by when I see makes like this. I'm always fascinated with Anita's use of color, where she just goes bold with things. And seeing all of these in metallic, and then of course paired with that multi-level arch, is so cool, right? So here you can see this is just using craft and metallic. And adding that little metallic layer just really gives a whole different look and feel to these designs, right? That's what I was sharing with Zoe and Nico, where you saw just that done in a silhouette format, and then seeing that in color. And that's the thing to remember also. Take a shape and mix it up, right? Utilize different elements just to give it the look and feel that you want. But I think that having this metallic, that little sparkle, she always likes to throw in a little bit of stickles in there, right? A little blingity bling. And I love just those silhouettes done in craft, and then taking a stamp and stamping some imagery on there. Very cool. And there are the dimensional stars. And of course we've got, I love how she incorporated like a little ideology star to create that little trio, right? Totally changes it up, right? So when I saw this, I'm like, wow. And I really love, you can see how that multi-level folder, you see how it just hits the light? Because you're getting those multi-levels in there. That's what it's all about. Very cool. Great card. Now the thing about dies and designs, shapes, anything like that, is that you always have the ability to transform them into whatever it is that you're creating. So Zoe created this framed panel. This is really fun. Of course, there's a tiny light in there. You just light it up. Look at that. Put that light in the lantern. How clever is that for tiny lights? So Zoe created a framed panel. She's got I like how she paired these together, because I didn't think they would work together to scale until I saw them, and they totally do, right? It's almost like he's just zipping in, or I love how these little carolers are right under that lamppost. Let me just tell you kind of where my brain is on this one. What I like about makes like this is that, one, you have the ability to take something that is normally a paper craft tool. What was always fascinating about dies to me is that you can transform that from a tag, which we've seen, a card, which you've seen, to home decor, simply by the substrate that you put this on. So putting it into a frame, whether it's a frame panel, whether it's a store-bought frame, do a backer in here. This could be something where you could put a family name. Very cool way to personalize something, right? You can also, if you had a photo frame that maybe had an opening, you can actually put a photo behind it and still set the scene. So that's the things to remember about dies, is utilizing that. The other thing is changing them up, right? So taking the things that you love, know that Zoe loves tiny lights, as do I, and saying, how do I change this up? Adding that little light, what a great touch. Again, just imagine this being on a mantle or in the center of a Christmas wreath, right? Other little details, we've got these edges right here. So this is the etc. trim from Stampers Anonymous. There is that star, but instead of it being metallic, it looks like gunmetal. I love seeing these little pieces. These are kind of like little punch pieces. So any greenery that you have, you can fill in. They're the ideology baubles to make it look like little snowballs. You can create a scene with dyes, and that's what's important. So my brain often gets overwhelmed when I look at how things get transformed, and that's the message that I want to share with all of you guys. You do you, right? Make your cards, make your tags, but don't be afraid of taking what you're doing and finding something else and like repurposing it. Whether you're like, oh, I want to see what this looks like on a box or a frame, right? Very cool. I love that. Well, you know me. I love anything that lights up. That's how it is. It's the 5-year-old in me. That's what it is. Okay. I'm going to gather these. So we're going to kind of go from the festive words, Scribbly Snowflakes, right into Mr. Frost, because these, you'll see how these designs really all work so well together. And just some beautiful, beautiful card ideas. So Keisha created this card. I love all of these stacked Scribbly Snowflakes. And there is the festive word. Now, the festive word, this I thought was really clever. I love how the layer, the shadow layer, is done on vellum. So that still allows me to see the snowflakes underneath, right? You see that? Try to get the light to hit it. So having that done in vellum, beautiful. And then we've got the metallic that layered over the top. Really nice. And then we've got the Scribbly Snowflakes on top of that. And then that one that's just highlighted, sparkled with that little touch of glitter and that gem. And of course that little metallic splatter, well, that speaks to my heart right there. So beautiful card, right? I love this, Keisha. So a wonderful winter card. Keisha also created this. Love changing up the style. So again, when you have your supplies out, I always talk about compartmental making, especially when it comes to the holidays. Sit down one night and cut a bazillion snowflakes. Just get your white cardstock and just snowflake, 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 snowflake. Have a bowl of them ready, right? Cut out your words. Play around with your cardstock. So here's the metallic here. Well, here's the metallic here, right? Here's a background layer. Here's a layer that you can ink. So you can just cut your components, and then when you're going to make cards, you can do all your inky backgrounds. You just have the ability to compartmentalize and then build them. And I like the fact that you can still take those same tools, right, the Scribbly and the words, and totally change it up, whether you want to do clean and simple, elegant with a touch of metallic, or you want to go in with your oxide sprays, your micas, your blends, and give it a little splash of color, right? Isn't that beautiful? And I love the addition of the little pearls. That's the thing to remember when it comes to making, right? You have to just do what you love to do. So Jen created this card. Speaking of love, she loves to use inks, especially to create very beautiful, vivid backgrounds. And look at how stunning that background is. You'll notice here that these snowflakes she used as the negative, right? So the snowflakes are actually cut through, and then she went in and glued those pieces back in. Well done, Jen. A little tedious work there. But this way, it's kind of layered over that glitter cardstock. So instead of those snowflakes being on the top, they're actually layered underneath and then paired with that same glittery element for Let It Snow. But I love that. I love the buildup of those layers for that shadow, and I love how that layer is the same inky color, so it kind of goes with the background, and then paired it with the stamp. That's another thing. Mix and match, right? Utilize your dyes, utilize your stamps, and create what you want to create with it. So unbelievable, right? So many different ideas. All right. This one I'm going to take out because there's a little card in here too. I love this. So Kath created this wonderful little gift bag and little card. Now it could go together. It could be separate. It could be either one, whichever one that you wanted to create. But here we've got the snowflakes and that Hello Winter. Same idea about taking and layering this and using those snowflakes as the cutout. Then also pairing that up. Look at that little sparkle on there. Yeah, love me some deco sheet. That's what I think. That's what this stuff is. I miss this stuff. Very cool. I love the layer, and I love the little added detail of just creating little cards. Whether this was a card that went with the bag or just something separate or something that you do with any of the scraps that you cut out. But a very great way just to show you that even if you had those two dies, that you can just kind of work with them to create so many different looks. I love it. Doing good, Mario?
Doing great.
Moving along? Okay. So now I'm just going to keep going with this. Now we're starting to add a character, because that's the thing to remember, that you can build up from that, but you can also just add pieces each time. So here with Mr. Frost, right, we've got another inky card. I'm just going to open this card just because I want to just show you the scale of it. So this is a slimline card. Looks like that size. Pretty long. I'm not really sure what that. It's a long card, so I just think of that. There's your inky background. Doesn't have to be the whole entire background. This is something that you can create as a card. This could be something that you can cut off as a tag. This could be something that could hang onto something. This could go around a door. There's a lot of options when it comes to making. That's what I'm trying to really get you guys to appreciate, is that take this, add those little details. So here we see on here where she adds that little sparkle, little blingy bling, but he's big enough, scale-wise, that he can sit right on top of that Hello Winter. So now we've completely changed the personality or the look of that shape by adding something else. That's the thing to remember about your dies. As you build that collection, you add to it, you add to it, you add to it. Zoe with a Y created this tag. Again, taking those elements, maybe you wanted to create a little gift tag. I like how she just changed the appearance of his arms, added a little grit paste for some texture, right? And then also, looks like there's a little shine back there, a little sparkle. There you go. I love that in his eye. And then adding those snowflakes. Little stitched edge around there, and then of course just the random elements of adding stamped imagery. Completely, again, changes the look or style of that, right? Going from the hat on the top of his head, the hat on the side of his head. So that's really what I like to share. And this is what I kind of do when I'm sorting all the makes the night before the live, because I don't really look at all of them, but as they're all kind of spread out, I go, okay, so which makers just kind of focused on specific dies? Okay, which ones use similar dies but in a totally different way? And that to me is the importance of sharing with you on live, that you can really kind of capture your personality with the same shapes that people are working with. So we're going to keep going with more Scribbly snowman, not Scribbly, more Mr. Frost and some Scribbly elements, because there are so many cute makes. Tammy B created this etc. tag. I love how she paired Mr. Frost with the retro TV. She made a little scene in there, and those are all, a lot of those little minis in there, right? So you can see there's little mini snowmen, the little trees, how they fit inside that TV. Look at that icicle crackle. That's the distressed seasonal stuff. I love the icicle. There's the packages, but again, look at the background. See those trees? I told you that you would see those tall pines just kind of pop in different areas. So it creates a whole little scene where he's setting a little channel of his own favorite winter show. And I love how the little mini candy cane is to scale. Is that by design? No, but I'm happy it works. Same with the holly. So those are going to be working with all of the Christmas minis and creating a scene with the retro TV and Mr. Frost. Cute, right? So cute. Fun. All right. Oh, here we go. See? I read the back of that. Slider card, blog tutorial. Thanks, Kath. So this guy, take a look. I love that little slider, right? So you know how that is. And it says, baby, it's cold outside, and then under there, Winter Wonderland. I love how the slider just completely changes the verse. But you know me, love a good inky background. Looks like she created, probably some masks out of that. Look at that, the die cut, right? Die cut those and create a mask because there's nothing there, just a beautiful inked background. There's that Let It Snow. Isn't that just, you see what I mean about that font, that fact that the words are just so bold and chunky that you can pair it with so many different things to create a whole different effect. I love the shading of him in that blue, that watercolor. I love the little addition of the white dots in the eyes. He's fun. What a beautiful, beautiful card. I love it. I love the colors. You know me, I love a good inky background. Spotty. And I can just sit here all day. Yeah, don't give me something just to kind of fidget with, because that's how it's going to be, right?
Shakety shake and sliders.
Shakety shake, that's it. So Paula created this card. Love it. I love seeing how he is used with those Impresslits Snowflakes and how Paula used those as just part of the background. Really cool. A lot of these styles, they will work together. So whether you're going for the Scribbly Snowflakes or whether you're doing the Impresslit, you can still pair any of those characters with that. I like that it just has a nice, clean, and simple font. That's one of my favorites. Just that bold font. But take a look at just the detail of how to layer a card. That's another thing. If you're doing Christmas cards, often it can be overwhelming that, okay, if I'm doing so many different pieces and so many different die cuts, how do I actually create? If you break things down like this from a compartmental element, you start with a card base. You can have all of those ready. This is just metallic cardstock, but I love that little sanded detail. You see how just by sanding that Paula gave that metallic cardstock a totally different wintry look. Also, if you take a look at this background, that's using the decal trimmer. So if you're not familiar with that, it's a trimmer I did with Tonic. A decal trimmer is excellent on cards all year round, but especially at Christmas. By just cutting that background layer with a decal trimmer, that's going to give it a completely different look, but also to me, a very wintry look, a very snowy, a very uneven, icy look. But those details, if you think about it, card bases could be done, metallic could be done, background panels, maybe you're inking, maybe you're spraying, maybe you're doing whatever you want with that. This is the decal trimmer. Thanks, Mario. Mario comes in off the side. He's like, here you go. So the decal trimmer, just there's that decal edge, and that will just go right through, and it will cut that decaled edge. Now, the top is going to give you a smoother decal, which means smooth, random. Most people don't like the smooth edge. I always like to start at the top because I like the smooth edge, but you can position your paper anywhere on the blade. It's always going to be something different. The stronger decal is going to be near the bottom, but you can see from the blade really how that works. But just that detail alone, do your backgrounds, then do your Impresslits, then your snowmen. Maybe you're going to do a little glitter on the top. Maybe you're just going to you put some collage medium, glossy accents, dust it, however you want to create. Then you could build all your snowmen, right? Then when you're ready to do your cards, it's like, okay, I've got my base. There's my silver. There's my decaled edge. There's this. There's my snowman. All those pieces can go. Is it going to take time? Of course it's going to take time. But the important thing to remember is that if you don't sit down and have to always think of creating something from start to finish, you can actually create handmade cards with so much detail just by breaking down how you think. I love all these elements. I love the detail of it, really. The decal did it for me. That's what I love. So Nico created this card. Like the vintage effect. I love the watercolory look he did on the snowman. Look at the little book that he created for him. That's really cute. That's not a die. It's just something he cut out and created. Really charming. But again, that talks about taking those arms and positioning them however you want. Remember the die, the packaging shows this arm kind of sticking up in the air. But you can position them to hold whatever. And I think holding the book is cute. I love seeing the lantern from the vault and just how he's layered on that wintry background. And then the little let it snow. Stitch details, of course, always important. But again, Nico has a very vintage style, and I love that. I love seeing that people can take their style and incorporate that into a shape. Because sometimes I see him as really whimsy, and sometimes I see him as a little primitive, right? A little vintage inspired. But him holding the book I loved it. Really caught my eye. So these next two makes, these are both made by Vicky, and I like the fact that she completely changed it up, right? So she did two makes, one, and they both have very different looks, but I love the fact that one's got the hat and one doesn't. And I think this was the only make where he didn't have the hat on, but he was designed that he didn't have to have the hat. Like I didn't want to cut his head off you could if you want to. So this, I think this is the old Planks die. I think this is a Biggs die. I remember this one. I love this die. Done out of wood grain. I think this die is retired now. But again, using the mini fasteners, look at that nice vintage, worn, weathered look of that snowman. Again, layering all of these on craft. This ideology, the new ideology craft stock, the stuff that is not textured, is actually thicker than what came in the pad that was textured. This is actually 100 pound. The original textured was 80. But I love the ability of kind of creating that worn look. If you want something white like this, you're going to want to put paint or gesso and then sand it down. I love seeing that joy word. Of course, that is from the Festive words. You don't always have to add the shadow. But I love that layered look on the planks. And the planks are done with just wood grain cardstock. And then I love all those little fasteners. So cute. So cute. And then this one, again, creating a card. Pairing it up, there's a lot of old school stuff that Vicky's sneaking in. These are ideology snaps. These go way back. But you could use whatever clothing snaps you had too. You could still buy snaps at the craft store. But I like that. I like how his hands are up in the air. The little let it snow. That layer. Now this one is almost like an inlaid look. I'm always really intrigued by how Vicky creates this effect. So this whole entire piece, I'm trying to hold it sideways. You see how it's all inlaid? Well, that's very cool. I hope there's a tutorial coming for that, Vicky, because that is... So this whole thing is smoothie cruisy, guys. I'm cruising right across. Wow. Look at that. Very cool. I think looks like there's a so it looks like some distress embossing glaze in there, but I love that. So cool to see that dimensional and that inlaid look on a card. And I also like seeing, if you notice the background, I'll point that out to you. See the tag going upright, tag shape. Look at the background, tag shape. So inverting tags just as a layer. It's very cool. A lot of ideas. See, this is that's the thing. I'm sparked by the ideas as well. Where I look at that and I'm like, whoa, I didn't even notice that. You can't really see everything from a picture, but I'll show you that again. Wow, very cool. And I love the use of tags and stitching. So if you have tags, use it as a background and flip them around. I think that's really cool. Great cards. Great, great cards. Now again, little holiday magic. Zoe created this. I love how Zoe put her stuff in frames because again, you're taking stuff from a card into that home decor. And look at how cute he is. This is a mini frame panel. Look at all that distress crackle goodness around there. So again, these could be ideology frames. These could be any frame from the craft store, even the dollar store. Then you go into your store and then get all the stuff to really modify it, make it cool. I love that swirly star stencil with the crackle paste. Look at that. Ugh. And then we have Mr. Frost holding that little star, that little dimensional star. Really cute just to have that, him holding that star in his hand. Cute. Love it. Great little make. Yep. And again, when you're working with things like this in itself, a gift. This is something that you give to someone. You can have it displayed at work. You can have it in your home studio. I just think it's charming. And I like stuff like this. I mean, a lot of stuff like having that space in there. I often talk about adding a photo or whatever. Even if you wanted to change things out, right? You can always put like an ideology hinge clip on something where you can clip out something. So keep that in mind when you're making that. If you're giving this to someone that maybe they want to put their family photo in, it's great to like leave them the space to do it. Charming. Yeah, I can't get enough of that star in his hand. Can you? And look at the background. See that mica? Ooh, ooh, ooh. All those things that came out, they all make sense, right? Seeing Zoe with a little bit of little mica. Look at you, Zoe Hillman, with a little sparkle. Yeah, that's it.
Next, you're going to use a little bit of glitter.
Oh, I don't think we're ever going to see that happen. No. All right. So next, we're going to talk about cozy. Oop, I got some glitter on this. Audrey created this shakety shake card using Cozy Winter. Look how cute this is. I love all the beads and sequins, but there again, you're going to see the tall pines. But look just how adorable this is, and I like the addition of felt. So do you see his scarf? Cut out of felt, coffee cup, felt, another cup here, felt, and then cozy holiday cheer. So if you have alphabet stamps or if you want to print your own little messages, you can do that. But here's what I was talking about, that you're going to see a lot of those landscape dies, right? So we've already seen him with Mr. Frost. Now you're seeing him with Cozy Winter. Those trees and mountains were done for a reason. They're cool on their own. You saw that from Yuko's card. But it also really gives any of these characters some wintry landscape to include. I love a good shakety shake. This has beads in it. Look at that. That's a good one. Great card, Audrey. Look at the felt. Yep. Very cool. There's our little debossed little lines. I love the details.
Love a shakety shake.
I love a good shakety shake. But what you're going to see from this one, from Cozy Winter, is just how people completely change this. So Jen created this one. Take a look at how cute this card is. How I just change him into a polar bear. I love how he's holding that little gingerbread, right? So again, mixing and matching the dies. So if you take a look at this, we have, there are the pines, right? Tall pines in the back. Then we have Cozy Winter. Then you have a little cookie right here from the Christmas minis. And then you have the words here from the Festive words. So utilizing all those pieces, really charming on an inky background. And I love the fact that we have a little polar bear. I love the colors of this card. So cute to have all those different layers. A little touch of sparkle. Yeah. Just his expression. Can you just get over that? So cute. With that gingerbread, I know. So this is like with the gingerbread man. I can't even. Yeah. I'm not sure if he's excited, scared. I think he's happy. I think that cookie's like, bring it on. Let's go. He's so cute. Or maybe he's just a little stuffed gingerbread. Maybe he's not even going to eat him. He's very cute. I love it. Speaking of love, I love that Keisha is never afraid to just do her. Her color, her way. Suck it up, Buttercup, because that's the beauty of this. Look at this pink bear. with purple. Freaking love this. Look at that bright little yellow woodpecker. Look at that blended background. There are the trees again, but just done in white. So snowy trees. I love just the incorporation of, like, this is an old holiday script guide. This is old school Sizzix. Little ideology label. Very, very cute. But look at the colors, right? Isn't that just fun? And again, depending on what color cardstock or how you use it, how you see those debossed lines, they just add some great details specifically to these characters. You love the pink bear. So cute. And the white trees. So many different ideas. So many different ideas. I love it. Hey, Mario, would you mind bringing back the makes that were here, please? Thanks.
Sure.
I love the detail of that. This one, just thanks. Thank you. This one, Paula created this. So clever. Take a look at the bear. Yep. Done out of wood grain cardstock, right? So gave him a completely different vibe. Look at that little polka dotted scarf. Oh my gosh. Red scarf with the white polka dots. And using just regular ideology craft stock in there. But see how that wood grain cardstock gave him such cool texture, right? There's our little bird in there. I love the background, just done with that stamped plaid. And then, of course, utilizing the clipping stickers in the frosty air of night. Little winter bird, small but bright. So adorable. What a great, cute, whimsy bird. Just so cute, right? Oh, love that. Love it, love it. So that's what this is all about. You're taking paper, you have inks, you have paints, you have stamps like this background paper, stamped, right? Make your own. Make it whatever color. That's the beauty of stamps, that you could stamp this perfect green plaid, or it could be purple, or it could be whatever it is you want. That's the whole point of having art supplies, art tools, is that you get to customize and create whatever it is that you want to create. All right? This next scene, oh my gosh, right? So Tammy B created this scene. Okay, look at this scene. First of all, we've got just that great, I love seeing a lot of older stuff. So this is ideology worn wallpaper, right, around a vignette tray. This, take a look at this trim here. So this trim, this was a 3D Impresslit. I think this was lattice or something. I don't know if we still have this one. I'm sure this is retired as well, but I love the trim. But just look at the scene. So this is what I was saying. There's the mountain range in the back. You guys see that? Then we have the trees, and look at how many trees are just cut and layered to build this forest, right? They're all dimensional in there. Then we've got Cozy Winter. We've got our little bear. Look at that little mug. It's like old graniteware or enamelware, just how she gave that little texture. And there's a little bit of glitter, little sparkle. It looks almost like mica. I think it may be mica spray on there because it's not glittery. It just has a little, there you go, little sparkle right there. And then we've got this. Now, of course, when I saw this, and I saw tiny lights, I'm like, ooh, cool. I thought like the trees and mountains were going to light up. No. Seriously, look at that fire glowing. But take a look at the fire. You guys recognize what the fire is made out of? Yeah. The tree dye. Seriously. I mean, shut the front door. Look at that. They are the perfect flames. Perfect flames. Done out of a little, looks like a little vellum. Little cardstock there, wrapped around there, the tiny lights inside. But look at that cozy, talk about a cozy scene, right? Just so cute. But now we've got that wintry sky. Again, that mountain range can just repeat by going across. Cut your trees. So this is about taking those dyes, everything that you've seen, to whatever level you want to create. Because when you see these, I mean, let's just look at that fire for a moment. And Tammy's really great about sharing how she does stuff. A lot of times on her blog, but often a lot of makers actually are doing Instagram tutorials as well. So if you guys don't follow them on Instagram and you're only checking out the blog or waiting for Facebook, you are really missing out, because many makers will show a card, and then if you slide through the photos in their feed, they're showing you how to do that. So you could be missing out on tutorials if you don't have them. Often Zoe will link those too, but it's really important that you check those out on Instagram as well. So I just want to kind of position these down. That's why I asked Mario for them back, because I always like to share when you're looking at a die or a shape. This is the imagination of a maker. This is the imagination of you, right? Just taking this and doing what inspires you. Not, okay, if you like this idea, do it. if you like this idea, but this color bear in this with this kind of scarf, do it. You do you. You can be inspired by the makers to create what you envision. Do you need to do a big tray? Not if you don't want to. You can do a small box. Could you do this in a frame? Yes. You do really what's going to inspire you to make. That's what this is all about. And so many different ideas for that shape, right? That's it. That's what they do. It's like, oh, I'm going to make a shaker card. I'm going to make a pink bear. I want to do a polar bear. I want to do a whimsy bear with wood grain cardstock and a polka dotted scarf. Oh, I'm going to put one in a wintry scene with a roaring fire. Great, great, great. That is what it's all about. I absolutely love it. So it's super important that I say it every single live, and time again, people are like, makers? Who makers? If you're new here, that is wonderful. Be sure to follow these makers for inspiration all the time. There's so much of it. And Mario, I think, did you post a link?
Yeah, I've been posting.
Mario's excellent about posting links to the maker page, because that'll give you all the details, really, of blog and Instagram if they have that. Okay, moving right along. Hope you guys are liking this, because I'm having a ball. You can't tell. I love it. Now, you've seen the minis kind of play out in different makes. There's just a couple of makes that really specifically focus on the minis. These are some mini tags that Paula created, but it shows you the power of the mini, right? You can take a tiny little number 2 tag, right? You can die cut your own. We have dies that fit this number 2, but these are tags that you can pick up often, like at the office supply store. It's called a number 2 tag. It's a small tag, but this is really great to utilize that circle, a background. Again, you can see that little, I love that scuffing thing. I mean, I've sanded metallic before, but I just love seeing it that it's actually an intentional pattern of kind of creating a crosshatch. Isn't that elegant? You can see a little stenciling in the background, right? Adding some holiday stencils with some ink. Look at that guy, little Santa. Look at that little rock candy beard. And I love how his circle is a piece of wood grain. So great use of scraps as well, because you can take the clipping stickers, stencil, a little trim, but you can see from a compartmental making concept again how you can achieve this. And I say that especially around this time of year, because it's just the most important thing is to give yourself time to make, right? So sitting there and saying, I'm going to get all my tags and I'm just going to ink them up. Maybe I'm going to stencil, maybe I'm going to stamp, but I'm going to do all my inking. Then I'm going to do all my background circles. Boom, 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 cut a bunch of different ones. Then I'm going to do my little elements. I'm going to just sit here one day and I'm going to cut wreaths, right? And then I'm going to assemble them, or I'm going to do Santa base. And you have all those components, and then building these tags, how charming are these on any kind of gift? Or again, I always think garland, right? Hanging them off of a little pine or tinsel garland, it would just be really cute. I love all those different words. That's the thing about the ideology clipping. You just have all that great different typography, and they're just stickers. They're easy to do. Now this one, this is funny. Sharon created this. She actually posted it, and I completely missed it in her feed. I saw it yesterday when I was sharing all the makes in the story. I totally missed it. I even messaged her. I'm like, I'm so sorry I missed the make. It was a sneak peek, but because of these colors, I never recognized it as mine, and that's what I love about what the makers do. So take a look at this beautiful, soft color palette that Sharon did on this card, on just a simple craft base. Taking craft, cardstock, layer it with craft, do that little white embossing, but look at the color palette of all of those Christmas minis, right? You can see it's pink, and she said, that's okay, it was pink and mint, so I totally understand, that you kind of, but it's adorable. It's absolutely beautiful. So see, I couldn't even recognize my design just by that. And that's the thing, right? I'll own it. I looked at it, I was like, oh, that's not mine. Yeah, sure it is. But how great are all of these in this color? And just sticking to that color palette and utilizing it, mixing and matching, right? That mint on the back, right? It's almost like a pistachio or like a seafoam color. And then Santa's got the pink hat, but the pink with the mint tree. Just everything plays really, really well together. Such a charming card. I love how everything is dimensionalized, right? From the circles to the pieces. Very cute. But this card, of course, this is, 9 up. But you could do a mini card and you could have 1, right? Or you can do 4. Or you can, if you're going to do your slimline card, you can do them this way. I just thought the whole idea of these Christmas minis and these circles, I would probably just spend a week making a bunch of circles all these little embellished circles and then decide what I'm going to stick on. Like, okay, I need a card. Okay, here's 4 of them. Okay, done. Oh, I need a tag. Here's one. Off you go, right? Oh, I need to do a little cello bag because I'm going to put some treats. Okay, stick that on. So even if you just sat around and made little holiday discs, what you put them on or how you use them, you have a lot of options. So these are always great ideas when you're in kind of that creative rut of what to actually make, right? What to finish. You should still do something creative that you don't have to worry about what you're going to do with it right then. Just beautiful. Very cute.
I'll save this and give it to you for Christmas.
Will you?
Thanks, Sharon.
Yeah. So next up, we're going to talk about Christmas cookies, and there's a lot of ideas for cookies. A lot of ideas for cookies. So let's go in and talk about the cookies. So first up for the cookies, Anita created these ornaments, right? This all talks about what you can do with dies and what you can create with them. Very colorful, really fun iced cookies, again, using embossing glazes to add your color, right? The embossing powders, embossing glazes, glossy accents, anything that adds shine. You can do resist spray, you can do stickles, anything that you want to add a little shine. It's really great to go in and just cut and make in whatever playful colors. You can use your alphanumerics to actually die cut and customize. So if you're one of those that give out ornaments for, you know, a specific year, or you want to put your family name, don't forget that if you have any alphabet dies, you can go in and do this. And whether you're going to use the positive or the negative space in that, it's really just a very clever way that you can incorporate paper and chipboard. Any of your nested shape dies, from your ovals, your circles, your squares, those all become foundations for whatever you want to build, right? So if you wanted to build something smaller, just take a smaller one of any of those nested dies. This is really about incorporating those elements, those tools, and just giving it a little touch. I think it's really, really cute. Love the inspiration of that. Yeah, also a party favor. Very cute. So these little cards, Rochelle created this little series of cards. Take a look at this. This is what I was saying about compartmental making. You know me, I love a good thread. I do. I love a good thread hang off card. A lot of people trim them off. That's fine. You do you. But I just think, I don't know, it's something on it. It's like a little tassel that's just already there. That's just a detail element. So these, again, taking those cookies, cutting them out of different colors of cardstock, layering them on that base, because remember, they all start with a base. So you get to choose whether you want to inlay all the pieces, whether you want to just add pieces to the top. They all come with a base. And then just adding that stitching around the craft, that just makes for a very cute little card or a tag, right? So you can either fold that, you can glue it shut, you can write your little greeting, and then you could even use that string to tie it on to your gift. But these are all just done just with colored cardstock. Nothing frilly, little inking around the edge. Cute, right? Great ideas just using the cookies. Because you saw from my art, it was just gingerbread. It was just brown and white. But now you've seen just all the cards. And you might even just use that. I mean, this would be cute for Valentine's Day. Just that heart, right? Just use it for Valentine's Day. Cute. New house, right? There's a lot of icons that you could use outside of different times. Some are going to be pretty specific unless you're, you know, really creative, really ingenious. But that's it. All right, another series. Gosh, these card makers that make a series. So Jen created this series. Take a look at these. There you go. Like holiday cards, done. Again, compartmental making at its finest. Card bases, stamped backgrounds, die cut, cookies, stamped sentiments. All done. Bucket sitting around, build. Boom, boom, boom. Each one unique, each one handmade because you did it, right? So when you take a look at it, you have your color cardstock. You also have your stamped background. I love the stamped background. I love that it's die cut with a die that has the stitching. So there's a lot of different stitch dies. So if you're not a sewer, you don't want to spend the time to sew. There are many dies out there in many shapes that all have that stitched edge that will allow you to cut and stitch or give you the illusion that it's stitching. Some people even do like, you know, a seam ripper to kind of create that. And then we've got the cookies, again, out of craft in just white. A little distress ink, well, that's the magic touch right there. That's going to give you just that little detail. And then stamps. So many makers use that stamp set. I guess it just goes good with the cookies. I love it. I think that is from Scribbly Trees. It might be. Pretty sure. But it is. It's like a perfect little kind of whimsy touch. But you'll see that it's just great. So once you kind of have your system down, you just go for it and do all of your stamping. You can stamp, you can spritz with water if you want to create a background, but then all of those little pieces, everything that's been inked and layered, absolutely charming. And don't forget the power of a good piece of foam tape, right? It just makes a card go from flat to fab, just like that, a little bit. Love it. Great, great set, Jen. Good rigid vibe, right? Very cute. Very, very cute. Then we've got 2 cards, 2 different styles, same maker, right? So that also means, and I read this all the time, people go, I need to find my style. What is my style? Your style, you guys, is you. You are the style. You don't have to identify to a style. You don't have to own a specific look and feel. You do whatever your creative imagination wants you to do in that moment, right? And that's proof. So when I say you do you, that's what it means. It doesn't mean that you have to find something that you're going to always want to do every single time, right? You're going to be like, oh, right now, these are the colors that I want to use. I want to do this red glaze, and I want to do this navy deep background. And then I want to just add those cookies on there in craft and white. Beautiful. And this was kind of, Sharon did a card like this with the fall leaves, where she takes that slimline and cuts off the shapes. And I always love that idea because, again, it creates such a different perspective on the cards, right? When you have a shape and you take it off an edge that you want to put it on and you just chop it off, right? That's the best because you can chop it off and you can use the other piece for another card or not. You can just discard it, right? But this could be a simple color palette. These, there you go. You can add that glossy accents if you want that to have a shine, that little bit of color. Put that over a white cardstock. Very cool. A different stamp set. I think that was the one. I think we did this one last year. That was the set that Paula really wanted. But I love that. I love the whole look of that. So again, even if you're making this, and if you're one of those makers that you're like, okay, I can't do repeat. I can't go in and have everything look the same because my brain jumps from one idea to the next. Good. Chase your muse. Chase right after that muse and do what you want to do that inspires you instead of sitting there thinking, I don't really know. Does that look like me? Well, did you do it? It looked like you because you did it. That's it. Simple. So, wonderful.
Did I hear you say flat to fab?
I did. Well, I don't know how to say oh my gosh. Yes, I did. Because it is. Like that little bit, it makes things fabulous.
Flat to fab.
Flat to fab. Hashtag flat to fab. Okay. We ready. Now we're gonna get into some really, really cute ideas using the oven. And I have to say, the makers just kind of blew me away with what they did with this cute little oven. Hopefully you guys like it as well. So Kath did this. There are some treats in there. See? Contains cookies. It's in there. There's cookies in there. So taking a little bag, that little oven, baked with love, and you can see that little shakety shake with all those little cookies, but also adding some of your favorite sequins or sparkly elements. I love the colors. I love the addition of the little hearts from the cookies on the outside to go with baked with love. But isn't that cute? So a great way if you're going to do baked things, or maybe it could be store-bought things. It doesn't have to be hand-baked. It could be store-bought cookies that you put in there. Gifted with love. I think it'd be great it's a great gift idea for coffee, right? And say, cookie time. Love that. Very cute oven. I'm going to show you because there's so many different look and feels to each of these makes, all using the retro oven. I thought this was very clever. Anita created this. This is an ornament, right? But look at the metallic cardstock. Totally gave that oven a vibe. This is an ideology. Look at that mini heart. I thought that was so clever to use that little ideology pull or any kind of that metal pull. It just really gave it some dimension right there. Little ideology mini plaquettes. These, ideology, right? The little ideology silverware with the spoon, the knife, the little bell, the little story stick. So even, this is all old school ideology, right? These are last year's Christmas. Use it up, right? Use it. I love seeing those little kind of photo turns used on the oven, right? And then you move this. You open this. Look at that. I mean, stop it right now. With that little pop-out, fold-up little cookie. Oh my gosh. Come on. Come on. So if you're one of those pop-up card makers, you want to do stuff that's kind of moving around. But this is the cuteness of that. Besides that little moving thing with the turns, then when you turn it over, it's a little recipe for gingerbread cookies. Shut up, right? So this whole base, this is an ideology baseboard frame that we did for Christmas, but this could easily be something that you die cut, or maybe you go and buy a bunch of frames, right? Again, I always talk about the dollar store. You go and you find some frames that you want that it's going to work on, and you build off of that. So maybe you have your favorite recipe that you like to share with people, whether it's gingerbread cookies or sugar cookies or whatever it is that you do. Holidays are so filled with baking. But what a great way to share the recipe. They have a great little thing to hang. You got little dangly changlies. I love that, right? Anything that dangles and jingles, we want that. But this, just the whole little opening idea. Now, if you didn't want to take it to that level, you wouldn't have to, but that's always a great little surprise in there, just to have it. And then the shakes with that rounded rectangle dome. And look at the cookies. Even the cookies in there are each iced and sprinkled. I mean, come on. Come on.
Dangly changly?
Well, I think I always have to rhyme. I think I always need 2 words when I describe
You're
something.
good.
Well, yeah, but you get it. It's got like a little chain and dangles. But yeah, look at those little ice cookies. So
How did you
adorable.
try to spell that?
Right? I don't know. I can't spell that.
Okay, maybe.
All right. Then we got this card. This card is from Nico. I love this. There we go. Another little touch of Nordic. There you go. Nico, use it again because they are very cool holly leaves. But take a look at this. I love that this is, of course, a card. Put it on a card front. It's a dimensional card, but I love the color of the oven. I love that it's yellow. Again, you guys do you, right? If anything, I really hope that every time you watch these lives, even if this is your first time, that is the takeaway. You need to do what you love, right? Do what is inspired. So I love that this oven is yellow. I love the bright yellow. I still love that it's all distressed, oxidized, all the great details, and then look inside. So this one, there is no dome. You don't have to do the dome. This one's just a little acetate. He just built up a little shaker in there. So you can see the glitter in there? It's a little shakety shake card. So I love seeing all the little houses. Absolutely charming to have that. And this is an older set, these little houses. These are older dies. So you could put in any of your little flat house dies. You can put in any little scene. I just think it's very charming, and I love that it says A Wonderful Life. Again, old school ideology. So looking at these, it's so cute to see something so different. I
gotta tell you, when I was a kid, we had an oven that color.
Did you?
Yes.
I just think it's
that in a refrigerator.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
It's so good, right? I love that because to me it really brings out the detail of the moon and the stars in the back, and I love the glitter, and I just love the house. So and it's so great. I mean, I'm so fortunate, really, that the makers truly trust who they are and just do what they want to do, and they're not worried about like, oh gosh, what should I do? Because so far, completely different idea and makes, and they're not getting together going, okay, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going to do the bag. Okay, I'm going to do the ornament. No, they do what they do, which is that's the beauty of it. All right.
You're probably too young for that color, but it was that, and I think the other one they called it avocado green.
I do remember avocado green. That one I
gosh.
do. I remember that. I remember that very well, actually. All right, so this one, this cutesy, this is from Debbie. Debbie created this. Look at the little details of this. So Debbie took the oven and made a little box out of it. So she even used the back, but then she kind of filled in that space. So the piece that comes out, you can just stick it back in, right? Debbie, in true style, she has the details on there. So here's some of the details that just, I don't know, they just brought a smile. First, look at the little gingerbread. Little white gel pen, adding a little detail. Look at the little towel just over the bar, right? So she dimensionalized, right? A little foam, little XOXO, and then there's a little treat. So there's a little straw in there, and it's just a paper straw, but what a great little addition of height, right? So use it for the milk. So it's like cookies and milk. And then you take this out, you've got the little cookies in there. In the back, there's a little packet for hot chocolate, and that's just, of course, just wrapped, right? So there you go. So if you have hot chocolate pack, just a great idea is just take pattern paper or even old gift wrap, maybe that you haven't used, and cover that. So if you don't want to have the logo of that in there, that's just really great, right? And all these little things just kind of go in this box. There's the little cookies, right? A little cello bag. But all of those details for hot chocolate, little straw, and turn that into a box. Just adding your own paper walls using that. So many of you might have a box die or some type of die for that. But if you don't, remember, you can just repeat the shape and just cut the walls to whatever size that you need. But yeah, the little detail of adding on the towel, just going in with pen work or taking a stamped image. Look at the sparkly gauge here and the little hearts, a little green that hangs off. There you go. So cute. Oh, I can't get over those little cookies with the pen. I could never draw that small. It's so cute, right? Yeah, see the oven, I'm telling you. All right. Then this one, you know me. I look at stuff that like has movement, and I can't even. Hold on, I got to figure this out. I got to see how it's supposed to open. Okay, I see it now. I get it. I'm not. You know me and mechanics. So, Kathy created this. This is. I believe this is some other die system, but the whole point is really the oven and the cookies. But I'm not sure. This might be a Lawn Fawn die. I'm not sure. It's very. I don't know. I love it. I love the idea of mechanics, right? So if you guys know who does this die, or maybe Kathy built this herself, I'm not sure. But I love the fact that it's one of those cards that would fold flat. So there you go. Merry Christmas, you do your greeting. And then this, of course, would pop up. It's that little box there. Then you have all these little dividers. And I love seeing all the little cookies there. And take a look at that oven. It's just filled with little cookie cutouts. And there's your avocado green.
There it is.
I mean, is it? Oh, there you go. Christine said it's Lawn Fawn, but you could build it yourself. So, yeah, same kind of dividing thing, but these are just on little pieces of acetate. Very, very cute to see that little flat pop-up box. But, again, look at this, guys. Look at these ideas for an oven die, right? Okay, I'm going to put it on the front. This is going to be that cream oven that's going to go on a bag that's going to have treats in it. This is going to be something that's going to open that has a recipe in there. This is going to be a shaker card in yellow. This is going to be a box that I'm going to put in cookies and straw and hot chocolate as a little gift. You can put the little towel in there, a little acetate, and then, of course, a pop-up card in green. Wow. Different makers, same die, totally different ideas. You do you. That's the beauty of it. Love it. Yeah, I agree. For Thanksgiving, it'd be so cute to talk about that. So amazing job, makers, with that oven. You totally blew me away on really what can be done with an oven. They're like, stand back, you'll see. Really cute, right?
Super cute.
So much cuteness. Okay, next we're going to get into a lot of the greens. So we're going to start out with the sketch. Now the seasonal sketch, Paula did this so beautiful. So this is where you really appreciate like the sketchiness of the dies themselves. So the background, that of course is that multi-level arch. Look at that. That's just such a beautiful, beautiful background. I love it. I love that white gilded. I love the color. It's like inked and debossed in there, right? Really stunning to have the debossed color. And then you have that layered sketch. So by adding that metallic and kind of offsetting that, you just get such a beautiful card. Pairing this with just the label tape or a label sticker, really simple to do. Or if you have a label maker, you just take a label maker and just do a label or print it yourself. But very beautiful card. I love the effect of this sketch and what it does. I like that whole offset look. It's really cute. Great cards. And that's the other thing, like so many different styles for using these dies. So Zoe with a Y created this. First, notice the background. So of course the background are the festive words, the big joy, the hello winter, right? That's going to be the negative. Then there's a little paper doll in there. And then we've got those layers. I see Zoe do this a lot. These must all be like embossing enamel, right? They're like enameled pieces. But beautiful. Totally different color palette, right? Used completely different. So whether it's going to be, you know, on a card front or you're just going to use it as an accent or use it as part of a collage, they're just really nice pieces because it does give you the ability to create layers and little accents with those paper pieces. There's all sorts of different details. I've got to be careful because a lot of these are like, they're so delicate. Jeez. Debbie created this. Look at that. Absolutely stunning. Again, same pieces really essentially that Paula used in the sense of there's that arched background. Then we've got the white and gold. So, so pretty that we can use. And then seeing that wonderful metallic. Oh, I love that touch of gold and glitter and sparkle and sequins. Just beautiful. So if you look at this, we've got the arch. Then we've got that piece right here. So this is going to be the seasonal sketch. But then we've got that die, of course. That's going to be Festive Words. Then we've got the Impresslits. So if you look at the background, that's the Impresslit. So you can utilize as many pieces and components to work together. That just shows really from this release how many different elements you can use for one make, or you can simplify it. You do you. That's the joy. All right. Take a look at these. Gotta grab. Some of these are like dimensional, so I'm like trying to grab this. All right. Yuko created this. Take a look at this box. Love this idea of creating a box. Now this could be filled with note cards or gift cards. So if you're a maker and you know someone who isn't a maker, right? Maybe it's a neighbor, a coworker, someone that just, they don't have time, they don't have the passion or anything to even make cards. Another great idea is to make gift cards, blank gift cards, make a set and gift them. Gift them cards where they don't have to go buy cards. They don't have to worry about making cards. They can still send that handmade look, but you've gifted them a set of note cards, thank you cards. I mean, this is an idea that you can use all the time, right? Great even for baby showers, just like thank you card set. There's a lot of times that you can just give blank cards as a set. I love this idea that Yuko did of taking a vignette box, a vignette panel, and then making it with that little gift. But take a look at the effect of this. And that's the thing to understand about dies, right? So could they be metallic? Yes. Could they be vintage and grungy? Yes. Could they be clean and simple metallic? Yes. Could they be glazed, right? Ultra thick? Yes. That's the thing about you doing you. Now here, to add that little shape, you can use a shaping kit, right? Just to kind of sculpt those leaves. This looks like antique bronze, a little splatter, but you can see here where Yuko actually lined them up. That's the thing. You can line them up so it really looks almost like leaded metal, or you can off-register them because they're brilliant no matter. I just thought that was such a clever idea to create a little box and put in cards. And of course that stems from just taking that and saying, okay, I'm just going to turn that into a gift in and of itself, right? All right. Zoe with a Y created this little mixed media collage piece, taking a canvas, going on the inside of that, and taking these elements, adding this. This is a little ideology decorative deer. You can see some metallic foiling in there. So there again, if mixed media is your style and you're like, oh, I'm not a card maker, I'm not going to be making note cards, how would I incorporate this into maybe decor pieces or the front of a holiday journal, or I just want to make decor pieces? Well, here you go. Taking a canvas, doing some foils, adding a little sticker, and of course this is all just using inks and oxides to layer that. But that's the cool thing about this sketch is really, I think it's all about that top layer that just gives you all the definition and outline and kind of that dimensional layer on there. I know, it's cool, right? So many cool ways to incorporate dies. That's the thing. Incorporate. So Kathy created this card. So here you can see there is, funny how we have, see? You never know from the makers what they're going to make, what they're going to use together. But here we've got that full background of the arch. You'll see some of the vault dies in there, right? There's the Christmas and the lamppost. Mary is just done from an alphanumeric. But take a look at these flowers. So these flowers all sculpted, right? Again, using that shaping kit, right? The shaping kit I did with Sizzix to go in and kind of sculpt those flowers, really give them these wonderful dimensional curled layers. You can go in with the stamen and you can add that inside, but look at how those flowers are just clustered coming off of the card, right? This could be a card that you gift, this could be a card that you frame, or you can just take this idea and say, you know what, I'm going to make these little flowers and I'm going to do those on a table setting. I'm going to do those on, around a candle. There's so many ideas that you can do with a simple shape that you can add such a wonderful detailed touch. So I love this card, Kathy. But so cool to see, again, it's just weird that every time when I'm doing the live, I can kind of stop and look and say, look at all these different ideas. I'm just so lucky to see all of these different elements. Just beautiful. All right. Beautiful, beautiful, right? Who doesn't love that sketch? Okay, so greenery, again, you're going to see that different styles of greenery are going to do completely different look and feel. So let me go into this next. These next ones I'm just going to grab. These are the holiday brushstroke. Now the holiday brushstroke, again, it's a bit thicker, right? But that's what I like because I think those thick pieces really add for a nice anchor point. So Rochelle created this card. You can see by having those brushstroke pieces, it does give it, well, I think it just gives it more of a watercolory look, right? You do the look that you love. I love the layers of this that she did on the card. I like to see that old book paper, and of course paired with the festive words. Can't believe how many makers really utilize these in so many different styles, everything from vintage to sophisticated. But I love the details of that, just that cool vintage card that she did. Because the style, well, the style is just different. Everyone can kind of do their own thing. Anita created these, right? Look at how, just again, I'm just always in awe of just the color. And that's who she is. That's the thing. She has such a great ability to just pair so many wonderful, vibrant colors together. Things that, I'm definitely more the vintage guy. That's just me. That's my safe space. But I love seeing this because I'm like, dang, I love seeing all these blues and silvers together. I love seeing this watercolor in this metallic look. There's that little bow from the vault, as well as that Christmas, Now That Merry, that's from the original set that came in there. But take a look at seeing the brushstroke with the metallic and how it pairs with those mica stains, right? The mica stains just give that wonderful shimmer. Beautiful, beautiful cards layering these. So if you're into traditional, if you like more of the metallic, that's the whole idea is taking a die and seeing it for what it is, right? Doing your own thing. So Keisha created this. This is kind of really the whole intent, I would say, of brushstroke. And really what it was is these were always, because if you're like, why did you call them brushstrokes? Because they don't really look, well, they kind of do. The whole thing about brushstroke is that the shape was inspired by a watercolor. We actually extracted them from watercolor, kind of outlined them and built those. But that they would be big enough that if you were to watercolor or ink them, you would be able to see all of the details. So when Keisha created this card, you can see that all of this is done with ink. So going in, and this one's done with ink as well, this is just inked more with spray and oxide. This has all your little splattery bits on there. But having all these different color pieces, layering it on a background, look at that metallic crackle background. Ooh, beautiful. And then of course, stamping first, and then going in and embossing. Isn't that cool to have that embossing over a stamped image? Because you can totally read the stamped image, but you're still getting that multi-level of the arch. And then just paired with that label. Just a beautiful card that Keisha did. But again, brushstroke, totally different. So many different looks to those dies, and I like just kind of how chunky they are. All right. Next up, we're going to go into Festive Bouquet. Festive Bouquet, just wow. What a stunner. Emma created this. Take a look at this hoop, guys. Just beautiful. I just love this, Emma. So here's what's great. I see just when people use hoop, just seeing something in the round, first of all, it's great for art pieces, great to hang on the wall, but certainly perfect for the holidays to stick right in the middle of a wreath, right? So I envision this sticking right in the center of a wreath. Here's some of the things. You guys recognize this? Yes, that candlelight die from Halloween. Thanks for using that, Emma. I love the fact, and I mentioned this when we did this last month, that this die would be perfect for the holidays. So I'm really happy to see this turn up in one of the makes. But here you can see that the Festive Bouquet, you just get to build that around. There's that Christmas from the vault, just done out of metallic, just stacked up and layered. I love seeing those little splattering. There, distressed mica flakes. Look at how that just adds such a wonderful little touch, little wintry touch. They're kind of all over. The cool thing about mica flakes, if you guys haven't used them before, besides that they're amazing just on their own, when you use them on a make, they just reflect the light so different than glitter. And they work great with glitter. This is rock candy, so that's going to give you the small sparkle. But those mica flakes really hold just some great, they cast beautiful, beautiful light. I love that. So this Christmas die, this is from the vaults. This is what we talked about at the very beginning. This is an older die, but this one has been resized. So if you have this original one, yes, but this size that the makers are using are from the vault series that we launched this year, because this original die was retired. So if you have this first one, yes, it's the same, just a different size. But I love seeing really those components together. Isn't that a beautiful make? Yep. And I love seeing it over the black background. Or dark green could be. I'm not sure. I read this more of a dark green because to me that's black in the back of that. Just beautiful. Yep. Need to do more stuff in the round, huh? I like that. All right. Actually, I'm going to set that over here because I've got some other makes again just to share with you the different ideas of what we can create. Jan created this card. Again, I love seeing the makers just sculpting and shaping the flowers. Now, this is definitely a classic die. Yeah, this is an older die. I love this one. I think this one is retired now. I'm not sure. Sizzix is here, they'll know. But I do. This was like a ribbony whatever, but I love this font too. That one should have come back. But take a look at this. This is very interesting. I'm kind of looking at the back right here. Jan, this is very cool. Here's what I'm noticing. It looks like she's kind of done some embossing. You see this background? You see this black paper back here? It looks like she used a lot of the dyes to emboss, right? Taking your silicone mat and kind of debossing shapes into your background paper. I love that because the paper is definitely textured. But then you can see all these wonderful watercolor pieces. So here's what you're going to see. We've got the bouquet pieces, right? So we've got the flowers here. But then take a look under here. See the little pine cone, little brush stroke? That little piece right here, brush stroke. So even mixing and matching those styles, stylistically, you can get away with that because you've got the bigger pieces at the bottom and the more detailed pieces on the top. But what a beautiful card, Jan. I love seeing that on the plaid. And look at that metallic thread. What? That's fancy. Look at that. Fancy stitching thread around there. What a beautiful, beautiful card, Jan. Wow. Yeah, that debossing of the dies, you guys see that? Isn't that cool? I love seeing. So two makers, again, just kind of building on that black background. It's really cool. So Juliana created these. Again, two just great ideas for the holidays. Anything that you want. You can go to the store and you can get bags, right? You can get craft bags and you can just dress them up with your dies, right? This is a switchlet, just taking that seal. But then we also can go in with different colors and we can add, I love that wonderful little bit of pink around there, right? Little merry and bright little ribbon on that. Or creating a little card, right? And this could be a gift set together or just having some mini cards with the band. But I love seeing that in pink. But so many different ideas. Again, I love seeing the switchlet in play as well because that gives you a great medallion, a great foundation. So there's your card and also just a band on a bag. Same thing with the gift bag, but just a very clever idea of taking this, and I love how Juliana will take just those colorful components and pair them up with your stamping. Like for example back here, that's just stamped and gold embossed, right? The switcher, just adding some little details on that. Those are all wonderful elements, and whether you pair this together, whether you put something in that, or again, just give people sets for people that really you love to make because you love to make, and they love the look of handmade stuff. It's a great thing. Yeah, beautiful. How are we doing, Mario? Okay? You were trying to call something out. Did I miss something?
No, they just put what that die was. Sizzix did.
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Now you can read that in the chat. This next one, Kath created this, and again, in the round, but a totally different style, right? Completely different colors, different than Emma's, but I love seeing both of these makes in the round. So this one, this is built up on some fabric. So this is fabric wrapped. You can see it's kind of a little squishy there, some little linen. I love just seeing that little detail of the stamping in the background. I love the colors of the flowers here, and then just seeing that joy word from the festive words. Love that. And there's a little remnant rub there to the world. Some metallic embossing, a little tool, but both makers utilize the hoop in different ways. So really, Emma and Kath, just beautiful. I love the looks of this. Any of the time that you're working with your dies, you can work on whatever medium you're comfortable with. And I see a lot of people asking, like, what kind of cardstock do I use? Do I use texture? Do I use 80 pound, 100 pound watercolor? You use whatever you like. So if you're doing all your inking, like Kath did here, you're going to want to do like watercolor paper. That's what's going to give you the texture and the design. But you can also just do color cardstock. Now, all of these makers did inking, right? And they just utilized the inks, but they use them in completely different ways and got completely different looks for their makes, whether it's the gift idea from Juliana, whether it's just that wonderful traditional card that Jan did with the plaid, that beautiful hoop that Kat did with the stamping. Again, I love the colors, right? Because I just like that red. It's kind of an orangey red. And this beautiful winter one that Emma did with the candle. Just So inspiring. So inspiring. Gosh, every single time I seem to end with the shot, and I am amazed of how different the ideas are from the dies. And they go from the extreme to the simple. That and everything in between. That's what I love. I do. Okay, we're cruising. I'd like to say we're halfway through. There's a lot of stuff, you guys. There is a lot of stuff. Okay, so now we're going to jump into Colorize. Are you guys ready? So Colorize, of course, this is where you just have to appreciate the make. You do. Does it take time? Yes, it does. Is it worth it?
Yes.
Yes, it is. So we're going to start with our Colorize Woodland Santa. Juliana created this card. Take a look at him. How just amazing is he? So this is what I was saying about taking your cardstock. He can all be cut in white, and then you can do all of your inking. Or you can ink all your papers and then die cut them. So if you don't have 4 different shades of red cardstock, but maybe you have that many different colors of ink, or you can create that with your inks and your sprays, that's what you should do on white cardstock. And then you die cut it. But if you take a look, he's wonderful. I love his traditional colors. I love the detail of his little eyes. I'm not going to lie. When we got to the face, it is a little fussy because there's some small pieces from his nose to his cheek to that little earpiece to his eyebrows, even down to his eyes. But that's what made him, right? What I loved is that it went from kind of his big feet to his big belly to his tiny little head and that little pom-pom on the end of his hat. He needed that perspective to me to kind of take that larger-than-life look of the Woodland Santa. And I love the tree. All those little snowy pieces, that's all part of the die as well. And of course, stamped It's a Wonderful Life and that background. Just really cool. I love him. He is like traditional palette. Love it. Very, very cool. And then this one, I actually gasped when I saw it. I did. I'm like, what? Any guesses? It's Keisha. Like Pink Bear, Blue Santa. Absolutely love that he's just wintry. He is. He's just a winter wonder. Take a look at the card. So I'm going to hold this here for a second just to kind of show you perspective, and then I'll show you the details close up. See what's in the background? Yep, there's that mountaintop again. I told you, you're going to see it. Sometimes it's going to be more obvious than others. This one I didn't notice right away, but then when I saw these colors, I'm like, oh, that's a beautiful color, and then that drew me into kind of the mountain line. Then when you look at the back, you can see the Impresslits Snowflakes overlaid on top of some stamped snowflakes. Then down here you can see the kaleidoscope, the 3D, and then we've got Big Mary. This is from a die set, a Merry and Bright set that I think was from last year, and then paired with the stamp Winter Wishes. All those different elements. So you think of all the components from embossing folders to stamps to Impresslits to other stamps, and then we've got, of course, just that fabulous color Santa. So there he is, utilizing all those wonderful blues. I love the neutral taupes right there in the bag, right? I love that little splash of metallic for the buckle and his buttons. Again, those are all part of the die. And then just how he is on that wintry scene. Like, look at those cool Impresslits snowflakes. I know they're big, but that's what makes them cool because they're kind of falling behind the mountain and again, coming in from the top of that card. And now you can see that mountain, how beautiful it is, just cut in a whole different palette of cardstock, right? So the mountain could definitely be more icy and wintry, but it's the lines, it's the detail that I absolutely love about this mountaintop die. It creates that scene. It creates a background scene for the card. And that's the other thing. Take your textures, take your folders. Those can be part of the scene. So just because the mountain is this high doesn't mean you have to bring everything down to the bottom. You can always build up with something else. And I love that Big Mary and, of course, Winter Wishes. So far, again, 2 amazing makes, 2 completely different looks from our Woodland Santa so far, right? So far, that's how it is. Then we'll go into this one. Yuko created this. So, of course, Yuko has that vintage vibe. She channels my inner grunge as well. I love it. Taking a vignette tray, right? That becomes the foundation for this. The beautiful moon mask we did with Stampers Anonymous. So there's our beautiful big moon in the background. Isn't that just a stunner? And then we've got him in all of his grunge glory. Look at how grungy he is. I freaking love him. I love this effect. It's so good. And then there are the trees again, right? So you see trees in the foreground, trees in the background, trees on the mid-hill, right? Take a look at all those elements, and then there's a tree that goes up, and then we've got that little bell right there on that tree. But how wonderful is that with the moon? And then at the bottom, just an ideology word band, Merry Christmas. So definitely very cool. I love how the back is finished, where if you're giving this as a gift, right, you stamp that, and then that, like you're giving that as a gift, but then that is the display piece that they can put in their house. But you see what I mean? So far, same Santa, 3 totally different looks, you guys. And incorporating everything from the mountains to the trees. That moon is just magical, right? Just magical. Very cool in all his grungy glory. Then we have this beautiful hanging piece Emma did. Take a look at that. A framed panel with this little hanging sign here. I love the wintry colors of this. Again, you're seeing the trees. There's all the trees layered in there. Beautiful coloration of that Woodland Santa. I love just the little effect of those little pinstripe details. And I think what it is just the colors, right? These colors are more of just the cardstock that's been inked. This was actually just inked paper done with distress. That gave that bag so much more texture and depth than just using brown like I did on the packaging. There's the tree, and look at that glittery sparkle. Can you guys see that? There we go. See the little bit of rock candy? Those little details that Emma adds, sparkly. Sparkly good. One of my favorite stamps ever. This little sparkly background. I love it, because look at how detailed it is. It's beautiful. I've done this in, gosh, I think I've done this in remnant rubs. I've done it in stamps. It's just beautiful. There's our trees with a little bit of splatter. The signature baubles. Way to go, Emma. Way to represent the baubles. And then there, those mica flakes. So again, the mica flakes, if you haven't used them, see how great they are as filler? You just put down collage medium, glossy accents. When you sprinkle them on, let them just fall where they may. The thing about mica is that you want it to land at different angles. You never want to flatten the mica. If you flatten the mica, you really lose the sparkly magic, because it's sparkling and twinkling because each fragment is catching the light completely different. And this is synthetic mica, so it has a nice, wonderful look to it. It's not completely clear. It has a little bit of a grunge to it because I wanted it to be a little grungy, but yeah, I love them in there. And then we'll talk about that little sign at the bottom. There's a little crackle, again using that bold font. Paula used that on her card as well. And then just adding those detail pieces from, I'm guessing, I think this is from Festive Bouquet, right? These little leaves. Kind of looks like that to me with those details. But beautiful. And then the crackle paste behind it. So yeah, making a hanging sign from a framed panel, and then she adds the little chain at the top. This is great to display on a door, or, I mean, it's a wonderful sign, isn't it? Completely different color palette, even though we're still dealing with traditional colors of our Santa. Just the beginning, guys. I mean, there's so many different ways. I'm trying to keep everything in. I'm kind of liking this. I kind of like doing this, this little frame thing as I'm building it, all right? All right, where do you see this in the round? So Jen did this. This is cool. This is like a big, I don't know, it's a big wooden thing. It's not an embroidery hoop. It's a big wooden thing. But what I love about this, there's our, oh, hold on. There's our Santa, but take a look here. I recognize this stuff. I see it here. This caught my eye. A little funky Nordic. Boom.
I think that's 4 times.
Well, we have Nico, Sharon, and Jan. Well, Nico did twice. So yeah, could
so
be
4 times.
Yeah, there we go. So, okay, I'll give you 4. I'll go with 3. But look at this. I love how this really goes with the Santa. So this base that Jen worked on, I love that. Look, first, that's what really caught my eye. Look at that scallop trim. Isn't that cool? I love that all around. See, I love the whimsiness of Nordic. See how it totally looks paper cut? Like, that looks like what I would do with scissors and punch. I love on the stripe. But then we've got that Santa. Look, he's done out of wood grain. Oh, so good. You know how Paula did the bear out of wood grain? I love seeing this Santa out of wood grain. Oh my gosh, Jan. Yes, yes, yes. So the difference between wood grain cardstock and working with, say, a lumber embossing folder is just the detail. It's definitely more fine, but you can certainly play around with your embossing folders to see. But this is distressed wood grain cardstock, so it's really detailed and thin. But you can create those little elements in there and add your inking and painting. I love this guy, but take a look at this background. right? I love this. This is a plaid stencil that I did, but I love how it's just kind of faded out on the edges, and then we've got that crackle texture paste. Way to rock the distressed textures. So crackle paste here, and then more crackle paste in here, but just how it's like worn away and then glazed over. Oh, that's so good. But really, the pairing of this, that's very, very cool. I love seeing these elements on there. Very cool to see, honestly, how that funky, I know I've been talking about that, but I love seeing how it coordinates with that Santa stylistically. It's great. And then we've got that word on the top, that festive word with joy. Isn't that a cool piece? Yeah, this is cool. I've never seen these wood things. It's awesome. It is a cool touch. Yeah, right? Take a look at that. I love that wood grain Santa. Pretty amazing. So many details. So many details. Awesome. All right. Just keeps going and going and going. All right. We've got one more, and I was so happy to see a maker do this. I actually said during the maker meeting, I'm like, I hope one of you do this, and so thank you, Vicki, for doing this. I'm like, I want to see him as a lumberjack. I want to just see him as just a man of the woods, right? So Vicki created this card. The card itself, of course, is cut from the mountain, right? So the mountain is actually the top of the card, but there is the fold there, so you just mount that right over the top, and you can just notch out that space in between. But just taking a regular card and putting that mountain on the front, so we've got that wonderful mountain range there. You'll see the use of the cobblestone down at the bottom, that kind of rocky foundation. But take a look at all the colorful detail, right? His boots, that plaid shirt, oh my gosh, that's everything. That's an ideology cardstock we did. There's a little story stick that says jingle, so he's holding a little jingle bell. His little ginger beard, look at him. His little ginger brows, what an awesome lumberjack. There are the trees. He's holding more bells, so you can see that the trees that came with it, instead of using the tree line that we've seen in the past, she just took that tree and just cut it several times. So there's the tree that he would normally hold. There it is, there it is. So using those pieces to still make the forest, again, very cool. And I love that he holds the bells. I know, right? He is in my shirt. You're right. Oh, gosh. This might be another keeper, Vicki. I love this. He's just cool, right? It's so fun to see, again, all the different looks from the die. That's what it's all about. You look at that Santa now, and I'm telling you this. I've said it, so someone could say, now he said that during his live. He takes a while to build. He really does. I know that we started really detailed in Colorize, then we got kind of simple with some of them. We did detailed on some, and I'm kind of keeping a balance of some that are a little more detailed than others. But I just thought I didn't want to overlook anything that made him look the way he looks. I think he's such a cool make. So I don't want you to be intimidated about it, but I think when you sit down to make your first one, just kind of take a deep breath and give yourself that permission to take your time to build it. But all these different looks from Juliana's to Keisha's and Jan's and Emma's and Vicky's and Yuko's, so different, right? Gosh. Inspiration overload. Yes, please. All right. Yes, please. Yeah, you know that would look so, that's so good. I love these. Yes, please. I love it. Yes, please. See, really? Blue Santa, pink bear. I love that. Keisha.
Yes, please.
I know, right? Like this, I can't, it's all those inky layers, right? Because even this, I can even see there's a little mica down here. This almost looks like could be a little cobblestone in the background too. I just noticed that. See, every time I pick something up, you just see it again. You see it again, you see it again. All right, moving on. Next, let's talk about Winston. Winston's just fun. He's just cute and fun. So Audrey created this etc. tag. I love Audrey's homespun palette is what I would say. Just as a way that's like not too grungy, not too vibrant, but like right in that homespun happy place. And I love this etc. tag. I love with Winston. I love how she paired him over this patchwork background of patterned papers, right? Also, I love the use of that varsity font that we did. Look at how perfect varsity is for Christmas with Let It Snow. You can see it also has some of that festive bouquet where we have it. There's Winston right there. I love his coloring. He's so charming. And then he also sits on some of these etc. trim pieces. So taking one of the etc. tags from Stampers Anonymous, we've got the trim pieces You've got Winston, but again, just putting it with all those different pattern papers, everything from the ledger to the damask, it's really cool. And I like seeing all those greens too, right? The bouquet, just beautiful. Just creates a nice setting, right? Because it does, it balances the palette used. Now the great thing, of course, about Colorize is because we have those knockout points in the scarf, what you build is your foundation, because you don't have to follow the Colorize labeling on the die. You can still do whatever colors, but that's what's always going to be the reveal. So that could be a green reveal or sparkle or flock if you wanted to have texture. But see, it's really kind of that little cutout that kind of gave that scowl on his look. I don't know. He definitely looked Winston. Like no little neck. He's cool. Great tag, Augie. Then we've got, oh, look at this one that Kathy did. Another shakety shake. Look at this beautiful shaker card. It's got a lot of wonderful little mica flakes in there. What a beauty this is. So there's Winston in there. I love seeing how winter he is. So chilly, just gives such a wintry vibe, right? So there's our woodpecker from Cozy Christmas. We also see that little scribbly coming in from the top. What a great way to do a little shaker card with all that mica. I love the mica. Now, some people may not like mica in the shaker card. I like how mica gets hung up on stuff because it's fragment, but you can still knock it down in there, but it's really designed to be more fragmented. So, because traditionally if you just do glitter, everything always falls to the bottom, but mixing this up, the mica it seems to lay around things. Plus, I'm sure she's glued some stuff on here too, but yeah, what a beautiful card. I love that. Stunning, stunning card. And a thick one too. Yeah, I mean, look at that. She built quite the scene. So, great job, Kathy. Love it. Very cute Winston. There's a lot of cute Winstons. Like this one, Juliana created. So, Juliana, I'm telling you, that palette, again, what's with me? It's like I'm my softer side in this one, right? Seeing all these beautiful pastels, but they're so charming, right? From Keisha's Pink Bear to Sharon's Sherbert card and now to this. But how beautiful is it, especially with all the little dotted backgrounds and then just these colors. They just make me smile. Well, Winston makes me smile. He's very cute. I see these snowflakes, right, from winter. It's like Nordic winter. Look at the little mountainscape. This is from last year. I think it was like a tree line thing. What a great background this is, Juliana. I remember this die. I don't know the name of it, but I do remember it had some trees and icy mountain look, but yeah, what a great base for him. Isn't he cute? Look at all his colors. So if you love inking, if you love doing smushing, if you love using oxides or sprays, don't let Colorize intimidate you because you can do that. You can take all your inky papers and you can build something so charming and handmade to your own palette, right? Really, really beautiful. But I do love all the little dots. Yes.
It's the pastels.
The pastels. Yeah, that's right. All right. Next one, Stacy created this. Look at this. Winston, and she gave him a monocle. Oh, love it, Stacy. All right, so we've got a vignette box turned around, right? So that's a cool thing about vignettes. Remember, you can use them as the box. You often see a lot of vignettes or shadows made, and then we've got the flip side of this where it's a panel. But the cool thing about this, of course, is painting using dyes as kind of an inlay. It's not really inlay, but it's like layered over the top. But then when you paint it along with the box, it gives that whole relief look to the box itself. I love seeing that little bit of crinkle ribbon wrapped around so it just looks like a package sitting there. But there is Winston. He's sitting in a little bed of paste with all sorts of sparkly glitter, right? We've got just a wonderful vintage grungy color, and there is that monocle. That monocle probably could be from maybe Halloween Hipsters, I think. Maybe it might. I remember there's a monocle there. Not sure where she got that, but I remember there being a monocle in that die. But how great just to have him, yeah, true Winston in there. But just the little details added, right? Taking the little elements out of the scarf, right? And then she added them to the hat band. You guys see that? It's those little details that just my eye go right to, because I'm like, ooh, that's a very good idea. Taking the negative, using it as a positive, as a little detail. I love just seeing that little splash of pink on his cheeks. I love seeing that she just dimensionalized. See how she just really layered him up, right? Make it foam. What did I say? Foam is fabulous. See, I don't even know what I said.
Flat to fab.
Oh, from flat to fab?
Or fab, yeah, flat to something like that.
I don't know, but you know what I mean. But see, by adding that, and I love how she just angled his nose to go across everything instead of just gluing that flat. But so many great details. I love this, Stacy. Super grungy. Again, so many makers did Christmas over a black background. It's quite striking, isn't it? It's just really cool. I got to get this stuff into frame so you guys just see, just to get you appreciate it each time. So many different styles of Winston. So many different styles. I love that. Monocle in Magenta. Really? I mean, I know there is, but is that the one? Is that what Stacy said she used? I know there's a monocle in Magenta. So.
No, I didn't see.
Oh, yeah. So, well, Stacy's on here.
Yeah, I see Stacy, but I didn't see the answer.
Yeah, I know there's one in, I don't know. That might be it. I just don't know how big it is. Yeah, so, because it's like the perfect size, whatever she used. All right, so this one. So, Kath created this. I got to show you just the details of this one. Again, another lantern. Thank you, Kath. I love that. So, look at this. This is very much, this totally reminds me of like London. And I'm going to say like a London alley, but not in a creepy way, in a very cool way. Because I love the color of that. I love how we have just those bricks kind of exposed in the background. I love the color of this. Here's what I love about the color. I love that, again, it's very dark and moody, but just by adding these cutouts of Let It Snow and those bricks, really, really cool. I love that. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's from Hip Haunts, you guys, not the gent, from Hip Haunts. Thanks, Stacey. So I love seeing the brick in there, those cutout words. Again, very, very cool relief. But that lantern, dimensionalized, so see how she's cut it twice? So it's cut and layered on the background. Then there's the candle inside. Then it's cut at the top. And then we have the adorable, charming Winston. Very great on here. Now, he's also dimensionalized. And when I first saw it, I like, oh, it's very cool dimensional. And then I picked it up and I felt something. I'm like, haha, what tiny lights? Come on. Look at that beautiful glow, especially the Halloween ones, using that purple. Oh, I love seeing that icy glow through Winston and, of course, through that candle. This, of course, you can bet is just absolutely beautiful at night because it just gives you the chills, right? Just seeing that chilly little, that purpley light come through, it's cool. And again, I love that background, that dark background of just having the glow. Tiny lights. Never underestimate the power of the tiny light. Right? Oh, there we go. Mario just shut the lights off. And look how it even glows through that watercolor cardstock by having that single layer there. Just beautiful. And the color and the lantern. So that's also a really important kind of detail that if you are going to cast dimension or shadow, it might be a good idea to at least cut one base layer so you know where to position your lights for your top layer. Really cool. I love that. I'll leave those on. Leave those highlights on. All right. So you can see here the many looks of Winston, right? Everything from your traditional look to kind of even a little bit more, I don't know, I wouldn't even say mixed media. He has a completely different style from a light to definitely shabby vintage to very, I like homespun vintage. Look at all these. They just have such a great vibe. Great job, you guys. I love it. I love Winston. He makes me happy. Winston is kind of my favorite snowman of this release just because I like the squattiness, but I gotta say I got something for Mr. Frost too because he's pretty whimsy, pretty fun. But Eugene, I don't know. I think Eugene might steal the show because just when I see Eugene, you can't help but smile, right? You can't. So Keisha created this card with Eugene. Look at the playful colors. I'm sure this was like Keisha's playground in incorporating all sorts of different colors. For people that love purple, this is your jam because look, he's got all the purple in here in the background, using the words "I love Mary" everything. Again, this is using the kaleidoscope, but in the large size, that large perspective on there. But a great use for him on the inky background. Really fun. There's that top piece that everyone, I have no idea why you're concerned about it, but there's a top piece in gray. But you can see it's part of who he is. So really great card, Keisha. Look at those colors. Always fascinated by just the use of colors. I need to get more colors in my makes. That's what I think. I love how she uses color. Now, a lot of times Keisha will use like regular color cardstock, and a lot of times she'll do her own inking. She is a believer in the swatch, so she'll do a lot of swatches. So I'm not really sure because the colors are so amazing. All right. Another card, Rochelle created this one. Now take a look at Eugene here with all of his sparkly little packages, right? So just adding that little touch of metallic on there he could be cut out of inky paper, but then adding that little metallic, there's the Impresslits on there. How cute is that? And then just cutting off one of the bottom of one of the packages just to create a whole different size. He's quite cute, isn't he? Let it snow. Very, very charming. Love seeing Eugene. Cute. Great job, Rochelle. I love the colors again. See, some people are inkers, some color cardstock. You really, sky's the limit, guys, of what you want to create. You can create whatever it is that you want to create. This one, Tammy B created this make. What an adorable little story of Eugene's icebox. Fresh, chilled daily. And there's tiny lights. So I love how Tammy used the oven as a little freezer for Eugene, right? So here, if you look in here, these are the Ideology bubbles that we did for Halloween because they're clear. Coat them in rock candy. They do make the perfect little snowballs or ice cubes. You can take a look in the back. You see the cobblestone in the back just to kind of create a cool little texture back there. And look at that wonderful soft chili color. And then, of course, he's got all his little ice cookies, right? So Tammy went in and created the cookies, but these are all done. The base is just a transparency. Then she's got some of the icicle crackle on there. See how they crack? So they're just little icy cookies. So here's Eugene in his own little ice box with all his wonderful little icy treats. You can see the little cookies from the oven that Tammy put. It's in, I don't know, can you guys see that? Oh, look, there you go. It's in a little cello bag, you guys. I mean, she's just the ultimate storyteller. So having his little chili treats right there. And see, Tammy, I'm doing this without you even giving me any notes, so I hope I got this right, because you might be like, wrong, Tim, that's wrong. But yeah, more of those little icy cookies. So cute with that whole little sign. And yeah, the purple lights, I mean, it's adorable either way, but you know me, I love when something lights up. But what a great idea for that retro oven, right? Make that all icy and cracked so you can see that icicle paste. That's it, guys. That stuff is magic for ice. The makers that have been using it, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? How cute is that? So cute, Eugene. Oh my gosh, penguin, penguin, penguin. Yeah, I know. The icebox oven, just cute. So the thing to remember when it comes to making dimensional things, Jen created this little guy. He is adorable. So this is Eugene. She made a little shaker. I'm going to get this stuff in the front and just kind of shake it around. All right. So vignette box, vignette frame, piece of acetate, right? No tiny lights, no bells and whistles, and that's great. That's the thing, that you can still take a die and get it off the card, and you still don't have to you can go to this level. If your imagination is taking you into places, you go with it. I said, chase your muse, right? Run after it. But this, I love that Jen just took that die, beautiful colors in, I don't know, I love these little balls. They look like little styrofoam balls. They don't seem like pom-poms. They're not bubbles. They're definitely lightweight. So they're almost like little styrofoam and snow. So they're really lightweight how they shake around. But she just made a little shaker box. I love how snowy he is. There's that true Jen little mermaid color in there in the penguin. So see, really making it whatever palette you want to work with. But this is saying, okay, because Jen I know likes to make cards. She's really a card maker. But she's been dabbling in different makes each time, and I love that, seeing that challenging side of her. But taking that and saying, okay, I can do that penguin, but instead of just putting it on a card base, I can just put him in a box, right? I can just add some little shakety stuff, and he's absolutely adorable, right? Tie a little ribbon, little word band, and you're good to go. So whether you want to take it to a light up level, whether you just want to do a box and acetate, it's just saying that be inspired to just try new things and see where that takes you from utilizing, it doesn't have to be a vignette box. It could be a paper mache box that you have. It could be a paper box that you guys create. But I do love these little shakeable things. They're super lightweight. I'm sure Jen will share what they are. But yeah, see, it's like chunky snow. But yeah, these are almost styrofoam. They're super light.
They seem kind of staticky, don't they?
I don't know, but like you don't even hear them. See? They're cool. All right. Love it. All right. Another shakety shake. You know me. Love a good shakety shake. So Kathy did this one. So this is a big shaker box. So as I mentioned, making stuff that you want to create. So you can create it out of foam board, right? So you can make, this is just done out of paper. Acetate. There we have Eugene sitting in the front.
I love seeing a couple little ornaments there. There you can see that mountain in the back. We've got the Scribbly snowflakes there. This is also a shake, right? But this guy, he lights up. But he lights up in a totally different way. So again, tiny lights. And just so you guys can see, it's just done out of mat board, cardboard, foam board. Whatever you have, you can still construct a vessel, or you can start with a vessel. Either way. You can choose to add a colorful light in an element, or you can backlight this, right? So seeing that the lights behind that mountain, I bet this just glows so pretty. Why do you want to dim the lights? Sure. Let's see how this one looks. I think it's going to give it such a, oh yeah. See, a beautiful little warm glow. I think that's so cute. I love that, Kathy. Really, really cute. So again, just taking that box and having the acetate, absolutely charming. So good. Beautiful. So take a look at this. Take a look at Eugene in his charming, fun, wonderful look, right? From a beautiful, colorful card to doing a shaker to creating a little freezer scene to adding a touch of metallic to building your own shaker and lighting it up. And each one, if you look, he's dressed completely different, right? He's got completely different colors, different vibe. You do what is going to make you the happiest when you're making. He's very, very cute. I love it. He is awesome. Yep. And it's funny, like I haven't seen a vintage Eugene. I'm sure I will now, but like seeing what we've seen, right? Seeing the makes done out of wood grain cardstock or sanded, you could definitely do a vintage inspired Eugene as well, who would be equally as charming. All right. Perfect, perfect. All right. We have, oh, there's still a few more. I've got a couple more back here just to kind of share with you a little bit bigger makes. We're in the home stretch, you guys. We're in the home stretch. Okay.
Good on these.
So, I am. Thanks. So next we're going to really talk about the Impresslits. Now, you've seen Impresslits being used on a lot of different things. I did pull some other makes aside because I just wanted to talk about how those elements were incorporated into the make. So this is created, Yuko created this, right? So it actually, it's a, there you go. It's a display dome, and you see that the snowflake is hanging from inside, but of course when I lay it down, it doesn't really dangle in there. But a great use for that snowflake because it's just attached in there, and then she's glued another one inside that is acting as the hanger. I just think it makes for a very charming little decorative piece. This could be a little centerpiece. There could be some fresh greenery, or you could have candles around it, or whatever. But I love this idea for taking that snowflake. We've got the little decorative deer, some greenery in there, a little ideology button on there. And you can see a little bit of that kaleidoscope on the outside. Can you guys see that? Just embossed in there, that little detail. But very, very charming to utilize that. And that's the thing about an Impresslit. An Impresslit we've seen on the backgrounds of cards, but you can also use it as a focal point. So Debbie created this card. I love the style of this. It has a very cool animation style to me, almost airbrushy. But I love seeing there are those Impresslits in the background, a little soft ink blend, and then there is that Hello Winter from the Festive words offset off of that metallic, right? We've seen makers do this where you die cut that twice and you just offset it. So instead of using the actual shadow, which would be the big, thick outline, it's simply about cutting that twice, once out of metallic and once out of another cardstock. Now this one, Debbie ink blended, which is stunning. And then when you go to attach them, you just offset it, and then when that metallic catches the light, oh, beautiful. And then just pair it up with that same metallic cardstock on the edge, because that's always going to bring your eye into that if you can utilize that same kind of metallic. But isn't that beautiful to see those, because it's almost like using an Impresslit like an embossing folder, right? Because they're just coming up out of the card, but because they're Impresslits, you can glue them down and you don't have to worry about masking it off. So it gives you the illusion of, okay, I've inked a card, but wait a minute, that cardstock's not inked, so how did you not ink that embossed area? Because the embossed area is just actually glued on. See, so that was a really great idea. And I love the addition of sequins and little stars, little sparkly bits, just stunning. That's the thing, a lot of these ideas are just taking cards and showcasing the embossing detail of that. So Sharon created this card. This is the 3D arch, and I love seeing that arched folder. A lot of people talked about cathedral window, and there it is, pairing it with a beautiful stamp, doing whatever colorful background, highlighting this with a little bit of metallic. Just a stunning, stunning card with Wish You a Joyous Christmas. I think that's beautiful. It's a great folder. I see many people doing very cool things with this. And just the fact, again, 3D multi-level, very similar in the overall look and feel. It's just about creating those line breaks or not. But I love this style. It's very architectural. So just quite a stunning card that Sharon did. That's a thing to remember. All right. Next up, I've got so many different things that I'm grabbing. All right. So this card, Rochelle created this card. So this card really highlights that mini poinsettia 3D that we did. So the first one that we did was pretty much a whole card front. So the earlier one would have fit pretty much an A2 in its entirety. It was really big. So having that mini scale, it is nice to pair it with another pattern or another texture like she did here. Here you can see that varsity font again because it has that stitch detail and just done out of the metallic. It makes for a very beautiful, very pretty, shabby, vintage holiday card, right? So I love how Rochelle just kind of lightly tinted those and just added that on the card base. And that's a thing to remember. Even if you want to make big cards, but you have a mini folder, you can still go in and attach those pieces and utilize that as a component with other background pieces. So even if you don't have something for a full background, right? So then we have some card sets. So Stacy created this set. I love all these bundles that the makers are sending. So take a look at these, right? Same, magic, magic, magic. This is what it's all about with that whole kind of assembly line making. Is creating these cards, right? We've got a whole little series of all these little flip-up cards, right? They have just a different stamped sentiment in there on the craft base, right? These are all stamps from Stampers Anonymous that I've done previous years. But I love how Stacy took this and just made that series of emboss, going in, just highlighting a little bit, you know, coloring with I love seeing the mica. So that little shimmer, that's coloring with the mica stain, just adding a little splattering of that so you get that subtle effect. Not everything has to be colored end to end. That's, I think, the beauty of this. I love seeing that stamped background. You can see that it's stamped in the mica stain as well. Can you guys see that? That beautiful script and how it just shimmers. Stamping in mica stain, man, that's just, these are beautiful, Stacy. And I love seeing the stitching, again, a little jute. But this goes back to, okay, I'm going to emboss my pieces. Great, they're all embossed. I'm going to sit down with my little palette of watercolor or ink or mica stain and a brush, and I'm just going to go in and just watercolor the elements. Great, done. Then I'm going to take a stamp. I'm going to stamp. I'm just going to kind of fill in some of the blanks with some stamping, do a little inking. Then I'm going to assemble. Then I'm going to do the inside. There's so many ways that you can go in and create such beautiful, beautiful cards by just giving yourself that time to get the components made ahead of time, and then assembly, man, it goes quick. But beautiful, huh? I love that mini folder. One of my favorites. I do love it. And yeah, this is a one and doneer. So that little folder's going away too. Beautiful. Now these, a whole different side of Stacy, right? A whole little whimsical side, but she still did another card series. This is just showing off that wonderful, charming mini kaleidoscope. So using that as a background and taking your favorite mini stamp set, look at these. How cute are these? I know Paula probably loves these too because this is that great little whimsy set. But how awesome. This is what I was saying, that you can make your own cards, you can use these for gifts, or you can make a little card set to gift to someone. To say, hey, I made you a little set of cards that you can give out to your family and friends. Don't underestimate the power of creative giving, my friends. Not everybody likes to make, not everybody thinks they can make, although everybody can make. Maybe they just don't have enjoyment in making. But if you do, it's a great way that you can share these. And I love the simplicity of it. I love just that black background with that white embossed detail, that little sewing. Man, that's some serious, jeez. I need to learn these tricks. I cannot. I am not that guy. I'd have to sew first and then cut the edge to make it look straight, because there's no way I could stay on track for that. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful detail in the cards. That's really what I'm sharing, is just kind of showing you ideas for the embossing folders, right? So this next little cutie, Yuko created this one. Look at him, yeah? So you're like, well, wait a minute, Tim, you already did Mr. Frost. Yes, I did. But the reason I wanted to share this one specifically is because of just how she utilized an embossing folder just to go around the box, right? So if you have I was talking about a vignette box or a paper mache box or any of those things, right? That's just about taking those embossed designs and adding some texture, right? So this gave this vignette box, which is a wooden box, it just gave it a nice stony feel, paired perfectly with the icicles, great with this little guy. I love the little tiny light tree in there, sitting in the little ideology thimble. Yeah, look at that little thimble, and the woodland tree with the tiny lights. And there's that little squirrel. How fun that Zoe used that as well. Just really cute to see that in the back, right? The little lights just shine in the back. Very, very cute. So he's backlit, so it kind of lights through the sparkly stars and the tree. Very cute, Yuko. Very, very cute. All right. This one, these colors, it was very tempting to not throw him in with Eugene, but I needed to just kind of give him his moment, right? Because the colors of this, and I don't often show like the insides, but it was the colors that kind of captivated me. There's nothing exciting on the inside, but the colors were exciting to me. I think it was something just about pulling out the colors from this paper, which is kind of that, I don't know, that, see what's with me in these colors? I think it's the seafoam minty-ness about it. So here is Eugene, of course, on this card, but there's a lot of other elements to him, okay? So first of all, his clothing pieces, this is done out of foam. So this is done out of the Sizzix foam, the shaping foam. I love that his hat and scarf, they're made out of foam. And it just gives it such a different texture than even wool felt. I love it because I don't know, it's like penguin. Because it's like wetsuit stuff. It has just a squishiness to it that I think is so cute. I love the snowflakes, of course, the Impresslits, the Let It Snow. But take a look at what he's sitting on. You see that ice? That's the cobblestone background that's embossed on acetate and then just tinted with a little alcohol ink. So he's like laying on a slab of ice, just happy as can be. Isn't that so clever for that 3D folder to just create that look? And I know Tammy had it like all over the background, but silhouette cutting that to kind of make it look just like a block of ice that he was on, just cute. And of course I love the colors. So I thought just the foam detail was really charming, and I love this card. Just really, really cute, Jan. So cute. Stitching, too, man. She switched out a thread a lot. That's another thing I don't do. Whatever's in the machine, black thread or white thread. But I've seen everything from blue thread to metallic thread, but cute. Yeah, that foam is everything right there. Because you see, he just looks so bundled up and cozy, doesn't he? Yeah, really cool. I know, cobblestone ice, right? It's just, and the fact, just the whole translucency of it, with a little bit of alcohol ink, probably a little paint on there too, because it does have a little bit, can you guys see that? A little bit of opacity, so probably dry brushed. Absolutely charming. Yep, very cute. All right, we are in the home stretch. Last basket of makes. Hope you guys are still with me. We're doing fine. This is a doozy, this one. But there always is with Sizzix. We're going to wrap up with Paper Village 2. There's a lot of wonderful, wonderful makes for Paper Village 2. I'm going to bring this one in, because this one's been sitting up. I don't even know how I'm going to show you this. I'll show it, and it's probably going to ruin it when I show it, but it'll be fine. It could be assembled. The cool thing about Paper Village, really, especially from the makers, is that it can be used so many different ways. I'm going to start this way. Debbie created this one. It is just it's a glass vessel. You could buy just the glass vessels. Then there's this little glass container that has a candle in there that just sits over the top. But inside, looking down, you're going to see there is one of the little new Paper Village dies. Inside there's all sorts of sparkly cardstock done with Impresslits. You can also see that she used a Let It Snow, cut it out of vellum and secured that. But inside, can you guys see the light? I'll hold it right here. It seems to be good. See the light flickering on? Yeah? You guys see it? Charming. See the baubles? Because I'm going to pull this out in a second, so that's why I wanted just you guys to see it. You guys see that? Okay. So this, she gave me assembly instructions so I can disassemble it, because it's important to kind of see what that is. It was just a clever idea. Sitting on a battery-operated tea light, right? Then do the house, filled in with like snowflakes, using that little scribble. So any of those components maybe you had for a card or anything like that. But the whole idea of just building that house on top of a tea light, right? So there's going to be your switch. So yes, when you turn it on and off, you have to just kind of reach in. But that's just like fluffity stuff, right? Unicorn fluff. I don't know what it is. It's got sparkly stuff, snow, baubles, just, unicorn fluff. And then you've got your tea light. There's some little vellum in the windows. That's going to help just kind of keep the light just warm and cozy. Flickering on. There it is. I love that. And then it's just, yeah, you can just kind of set it in there. But I thought that was a very cool idea to show people if you're looking to do some decor, just to incorporate that with the house, and then you could still use it on your table for candles, right? Great details, just beautiful. All right, that's charming. That's a good one. All right, one moment, please. Yeah, yep, I knew that was going to happen. That's all right, I've got it. Nothing a little Swiffer can't take care of. That gathers all of it. Okay, thanks, Mario. Okay, moving right along. Next up we have these little ornaments. Anita created these. Very, very charming boxes. Both of these have tiny lights in them, right? Light these up. There we go. Tiny lights. Beautiful reflection. I love seeing the kaleidoscope all the way on the outside in metallic paper. You see just the white woodland trees from Ideology, just adding some wire, some of the velvet trims, die cutting stuff out of metallic. I really love all the die cut elements. Again, combining pieces. So the whole thing to remember, you know, when we're talking about these pieces, right? You can still cut out one of the house pieces, cut out the tower, cut off the tower, and make a church or a school out of it, right? So you can still take one of the tower pieces. That's what she's done here. Even if you were going to cut the whole roof, because remember the roof starts out as a flat piece, cut it out and then stick that in. So you can see here that all these little elements light up. It just has, it's very cute little pinstriped paper that she has in there, right? So this could be stuff that's stamped, this could be stuff that's inked, a lot of texture paste snow, but really charming. I love this one as well. Again, taking the tower, and this time just like the whole little tower in there, so it gives the top of that side building that little peaked roof. So one of the things to always remember when it comes to these buildings, even though they start out as the main structure, you can customize them, right? Cut off what you want, build on top of it, cut out holes in this as you're building, because everything is going to be flat. But the details, of course, and the reflection of just having metallic paper, really cute. Just a charming way to incorporate as ornaments. I love that. A couple of trays. This one, very, very cute. Sharon did this one. Love the colorful, whimsy style. Very primitive Christmas, right? So I love just seeing the whitewashed wood, just the pattern background paper, and then all of these houses just cut out of a color cardstock. Just doing a little sanding, a little inking. You see the little snowman right there, little Ideology tree, and then comfort and joy. So I think that this really speaks to a nice primitive Christmas, because I love seeing a little bit. Oh, there you go. There's another Nordic in there. Yep, Sharon, same maker. Same maker. Yep, there you go. I love seeing that, though, with the little star in there. Quite cute, right? So the buildings. Tiny lights? No. Does it have to? No. Does it need all the other stuff? No. It needs to be how you want it to be. And that is the importance of every maker totally embracing their style. So this next one I'm going to bring in, because it is a tray, but to see a whole other tray back to back. So Zoe created this. Tiny lights for the win, right? Oh, except these aren't going to turn on. Oh, do these have batteries in them, Mario? I say tiny lights for the win. There they go.
I did put batteries in everything.
I just didn't have the switch on. All right. So the cool thing about this, tiny lights, is Zoe created a whole little winter scene. So if you take a look here, those little houses just down out of corrugate. Love those little frosted windows lit up. But I also like how they're kind of pushed off to the side. And then you can see the mountaintop die in the background. You can see the little moon die. And then, of course, those trees and how those trees are clustered. But same concept, same tray, same everything, but totally different style for the maker. And just like I love the folk kind of Christmas of this with the colors, I love the winter vibe of this one as well. And using the mountain range as a scene, right? Very Switzerland. And I also like the fact of shortening these towers, right? To create your own little buildings. These shutter windows, these are everything. But just the detail, right? The splattering of the paint to create those little snow. Oh, look at the cobblestones. Hello there, cobblestones. Look at that. I almost missed it. Great detail. Yep. I love seeing that at the bottom. And this is another thing, and many makers do this when it comes to creating, is you need more space in something. It's always done this before when it comes to the houses, right? So if you're going to use like a skinny tray, and Sharon did the same thing, extend that with the trims, right? You see how both of them did that? They totally use a different set of trim. That's awesome. But if you ever want to work with something in a shadow box, but you need more space to maneuver and manipulate these pieces, that's where the etc. trims could come in, or you can do chipboard or anything like that. I love that. Very, very cool. So yeah, this is just, Zoe just used corrugate cardstock for that. So you can use corrugate to make kind of a little log-sided piece. Adorable, isn't it? Very, very charming. Love it. And then we have this vignette that Stacy created. Completely different look. This one also has tiny lights. There you go. Can you guys see those? There we are. Perfect. They're kind of flickering. I don't know. I think I need to fix the lights for you, Stacy. Just going to go in and bend this up. Oh, she's done a little altering back here to this case. Well done. All right. See if I fix it or not. Okay, I did. There we go. So the cool thing about this box, of course, this is a vignette. This is a divided drawer. Here you can see that engraved embossing folder. Isn't that beautiful? I love just the shabbiness, and it's just done out of metallic. Take a look at how it's exposed. Stacy's always full of details too, like hammering in the little nails. But look at the finish on the whole outside of this. It just looks like peeled away, kind of wallpaper, metallic. I don't know, even like old gift wrap. I love this embossing folder. Then she's got those flowers that wrap around. So she actually has these glued like this. So they're firm to go on the outside. A little mummy cloth from Halloween. But again, all that tattered, exposed thing, and then sticking in a nail, because trust me guys, these boxes don't have nails in them, so you have to add them. But I love the vignette nails. One of my favorite things in the hardware pack. Then adding that little hardware detail, again, the little flowers, and then we have those little Paper Village houses that all light up, and they're just so sparkly. So here you can see there's a little bit of wood grain on the top of the rooftop. You can see that these houses, can you guys see that they're embossed? So this is done with that mini kaleidoscope. Look at how beautiful these little Paper Village houses are embossed. So many details. So little wood grain house, rooftops, kaleidoscope, and then we have, look at those little wreaths. How cute are those? So Stacy told me that the wreaths are done with the little circle. See that circle die? That comes to Paper Village. And then just taking a little hole punch and punching out the center with a little 1/8" hole punch. And then you have a perfectly sized wreath for the front doors of all of those little Paper Village houses. I mean, so cute, so charming, but just so vintage, right? Pure vintage shabby. So texture, crackle, that's the beauty of that, is, again, looking at these elements, having so many different looks and styles, from shabby to winter, outdoors, to folk art, to metallic. It's just so amazing, so beautiful. I love them. I love, love, love Paper Village. All right, I've got one other thing. It's a Tammy B one I've got to set up because it's more like a table setting kind of thing. Beautiful job, you guys. Love it. So much detail. Man, Stacy must go through a ton of texture paste. That's what I got to say. She uses a lot of it. All right, this detail. So with Tammy, I can always expect something that's just going to be just a little out there and clever. So she shared with us, like, I think, was it chapter 3 with the tea party? So I love seeing kind of some similar ideas, but of course using this die, using the Paper Village. So this is about taking these, cutting them out of your favorite pattern paper. This happens to be a retired Ideology one. We had little flocked polka dots. Very cute. Using some of the grit paste, right? That's the little sparkly stuff for Christmas. I love that icy one. Look at that snowfall. It just looks like snow, doesn't it? I love the little peppermint chimney on there. So she created this one. So this has a little notch cut out. Can you guys see that? So she just went in and cut that. I think she just used a little doorway die to cut out that notch. Okay. And what that does is it's kind of a little mug hugger, right? So you can just take that, stick it on the side of a mug. You can go in and use tape or putty, but then you can create a charming little gift using hot cocoa, candy cane, a little spoon, some little tool, and you can make a great little gift in a mug, and just adding that little detail to the outside, right? From a place setting aspect, it's taking that die, but now you're going to cut out an area in the rooftop, and what that did is just allowed this this whole little setting. And this is plastic silverware, but I mean you could do regular silverware obviously for your holiday meal. But hey, save yourself on the dishes and use this. This is great. But the beauty of this, of course, is creating this little candy cane, and look at that. Just using that little house as a napkin ring. I thought it was very clever to utilize these buildings in totally different ways. Right? Sitting there building them. So you've seen everything from flickering candles to obviously sticking this on the edge of a mug or a glass for a little gift. It does make a very cute little adornment. Right? She's got all the stuff in there. If you take it out, see she's got marshmallows and all that just wrapped in there. So cute. And then just having that come right out of the top. Just cute ideas, right? Cute, clever ideas.